Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday and welcome to Series E. We're kicking off another week of action here as we're getting closer and closer to the end of Season 5 of Series E Apex Legends. Crazy to think that it's come that far from the humble beginnings over a year ago. But we still have plenty more action here this season before we wrap up and crown a new champion. My name is Yeso. Welcome in here on this wonderful Tuesday afternoon. I will be your host today. It's open night here for Series E Apex Legends, and I cannot wait to get into the fun. Now, before we do that, let's break down just how things work for some of those folks that may be new to what we do here. Now, Series E is a professional esports open circuit that absolutely anyone can join across multiple different titles. We've got Halo Infinite, Guilty Gear Strive, and of course, Apex Legends. Now, the way it works is players and teams, they come out and compete in our open qualifiers, and the best of the best make it into Series E. Now, what does that mean for them? Well, players will get to sign a contract, they will get sponsored by one of our partner brands, they will get a monthly salary, and they get to compete weekly for points and prize money. In Apex Legends, it's every Tuesday night against other open squads, just like these teams used to be themselves, and then every single Wednesday, they play against some of the best pros from all across North America. In Apex, I'm talking NRG, TSM, Cloud9, Team Liquid, and more. So if you and your friends want to get in on the fun, head over to matcherino.com/ESA to sign up. You can also use !sign up in Twitch chat to get the link that you need. And if you have any further questions, esportsarena.com has you covered. Now, coming into tonight, of course, we're coming off of a very interesting week of action last week in Series E Apex Legends. We had Tuesday night with that dominant performance from CLG, 2 wins on the night and a triple-digit point performance overall. Grabbed them the win last Tuesday. We won't see them here tonight. They have not signed up here for this open night, but we can maybe keep an eye out for them tomorrow, because then going into open night, we had that very tightly contested performance on Wednesday. We had 5 teams going into the final game, all in the running for first place overall, and our top performer on Wednesday only grabbed 62 points overall. That was NRG, and one of the lower point totals you're going to see from a winning squad on a Wednesday night. So it was really a tight competition on Wednesday. We'll see if we get much of the same of that here this time around. But of course, it starts tonight. It is open night. We've got a lot of talented squads coming in. Of course, maybe some early signs for squads you may want to keep an eye on going into next season's qualifiers, because of course now not all 7 of our teams partnered here this season will earn their spot to come back. Some of them will have to play through qualifiers once again, try and defend and re-earn their spot here in Series E. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. But we are ready to go. 20 teams ready to drop in on 6 games of Apex Legends action, and we've got 2 pros ready to break it down for you all. Jamerson and T-Squared on the cast today, and I'll be here to break things down in between, but let's not waste any more time. Let's kick off another night here of Series E Apex Legends.
You are the...
All right, welcome everybody.
Series E Apex Legends.
All of World's Edge explodes into chaos, and G2 around the corner, taking what is rightfully there.
War with our Ash player, Musin follows, and it's going to quickly switch to the Peacekeeper, putting down damage quick as
that Fury starts it off with the devotion, and does so much work, may have single-handedly clutched it for Vizio, and with the last shotgun shot, does it.
Let's get the games underway, man. I'm ready to go.
Woo boy, welcome everybody to Series E. I know it's been a hot week, but the action is just getting started here for us. It's coming down to the wire, Tom. This is the last month of Series E Season 5, and now our teams are starting to run out of time for this season.
Yeah, time flies when you're having fun, but it's time to hunker down for these squads. And Yesa brought up a great point. Last week, CLG had one of the closest, runnings that we've ever seen in terms of the point total. The lobby tonight is absolutely stacked as well. There's a lot of new names in here. There's a lot of players that grind rank consistently and are really high up on the leaderboard that come here on our open nights right now, and they're trying to prove themselves against the partner team. So it's going to be one heck of an open night.
Yeah, so let's talk about what's happening tonight. Of course, we're going to have our usual 6 matches on the night, and our teams will be playing or a share of $500. We'll have 3 matches on World's Edge, and of course 3 matches then swapping over to Storm Points. How does the scoring work? Well, it's going to be ALG as standard, where placement points and kill points will matter. Placements start at 15th place with 1 point, all the way up to first place, where if you win the game, you end up with 12 points overall, along with the kill points you get along the way. And we know that here on the open nights, that's what we're looking at, the kill points. That's what's going to be really important, it seems like, overall. Let's talk about the teams that are competing, though. Like you said, there are a lot of new names, and that's always exciting for us here at Series E, because that's what we're about. We're trying to build new talent, discover new talent, and provide kind of a path to pro for a lot of these players, and these are a lot of new names.
Yeah, watch out for Team Slept On. This is the team that I'm looking forward to watching tonight in terms of the open teams that we haven't really seen yet. Psycho Goated and El Karma, absolutely ridiculous talented players right there, and I think that they're going to have what it takes to not only do well today, but potentially be one of those teams that consistently we see in Series E, and maybe even ends up going for one of those partnered spots next season, because nobody is safe right now. There's a couple of teams that are, sitting at the top of the leaderboard that are probably feeling pretty good, but it's really anyone's game over this last month, and everyone's going to have to bring their A game if they want to lock their way into the next season. Also, someone sign us watching Loxlada and Key. That's a team to continue and watch. I believe there was also... I thought we saw Oxygen Gaming on the list, but I don't see them actually here right now, too. So I'm not sure if they made it in tonight, but definitely a team to watch out for tomorrow if they are playing.
Yeah, I'll be keeping an eye on Team Valkyrie as well. Lane, former teammate of Bowser. This is like 2 years ago, so I don't know how relevant that is. But he played with Bowser back in the day, and Shiny and Saw is there. So taking a look out for Valkyrie, and of course Atlanta Station Gaming. That should be a lot of fun. Crook, Bronzy, and Zenial. So mix up there. That's going to be definitely a squad to keep an eye out for in the thick of things. I mean, we have so much competition right now that's just taking place left and right. It's crazy to think how much we're actually pretty blessed here in North America to have all the competition that we do, especially when you compare to our EMEA counterparts. So I'm really glad that we get to continue to do this, support North America, and especially a tier 2 and a tier 3 scene here in Series E. Last week we did see CLG, like you said, popping off on the open nights, but it was Mike and Ike on that same evening that was actually doing a phenomenal job of trying to keep pace with them. I believe they got 2nd overall, and that's important because we need to talk about the cumulative leaderboard. This is the final final month of Series E, and like Lieso said, some of these teams will have to compete in the qualifiers. And right now, the teams that we're looking at, it's Tyson, Razor, Mike, and Ike, all right there at the bottom. Tyson has a little bit more wiggle room to work with, but they're currently 70 points below Team Nerf.
And it's wild because Tyson has been one of our most improved teams, and they've been playing really, really well together, and I think that this is a team that's going to do well in the ALGS, but that's just, a testament to how strong our lobbies are on the open night, on the pro night, how strong our partnered teams are. I think this is amongst all 7 partnered teams, I think this is the best talented group that we've had, and I think this has been the most competitive season of Series Z that we've had since the beginning. We've had some amazing teams come through. The old Team Razor team with Zeratricky on it. The Esports Arena team. Now we have the RESA team that we have right now too is still very, very strong. So a very dedicated group of players, and going all the way down to Mike and Ike. You look at a player like MJ who plays a fantastic Horizon. This player right here is insane. Everyone on Mike and Ike's insane, but yet they still only have 636 points compared to Excedrin sitting at 911. Absolutely wild. Also, we have to talk about, I'm surprised that Bronzy has the energy after beefing on Twitter all morning and all night. Now the guy is here and out there playing. If you guys haven't seen that, it was some spicy tea that was going down with them and Renegades. So have to mention that because it's definitely interesting, to say the least.
No, the last 24 hours for sure. Just internet warrioring, right? Just getting ready, dropping the receipts. He's got everything. He's ready. It's been a fun time if you're into. I don't know if there's an Apex TMZ yet. I know there was like an Overwatch TMZ. I'm pretty sure there's an Apex TMZ as well. And I'm sure that's. I don't know. I don't go to that part of Reddit, but. That's definitely something to keep an eye on, and we have a lot of interesting developments. And the crazy thing is, like, we don't even have year 3 announced yet. And we still have all these saucy news little bits coming out. But for right now, again, speaking to your point about Mike and Ike, I am excited about them because, again, this is a team that didn't have the same kind of competitive experience, right? I don't really remember them before seeing them in the last 6 months or so. So I think where they've come since then is pretty incredible, especially if you take a look historically at teams in the past. And what I'm specifically thinking of, and it's interesting that they play the way they do, going down to Thermal Station, a lot of controller players, like, who does that remind you of? Well, aim assist / G2 / Solafide, that entire history, right? So I think there is a lot of room for growth still for Team Mike and Ike, and I'm really excited to see what happens for them in the next year if they stick together as a roster.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And then again, looking at the team that's on the bubble right there at Nerf, Nerf has the former #1 pred. Not only that, the player that has gotten the most RP out of anybody out of any split, that's Messiah. And then you have Force and you also have Turns, and we know what their competitive history is like. And if you don't, well, Turns started off team with Hot Stick on Pittsburgh Knights. He, was a really, really strong player throughout his career. Took a little bit of a break, went to a different game, Valorant, came back after maybe about a year, and has continued to develop his skills and really fallen into that IGL role that a team needs. And it's just so shocking to me that team is sitting in 4th place. And I think it was last week or the week before that they proved what they can do on our pro night, and they were kind of in the running. I think it was last week where they got top 5, but it looked like they were like on the verge of winning. So it's just really close right now, and it's going to be a very exciting month.
I think one of the hardest things watching for Team Nerf is that, they drop Lava Siphon as we are getting ready to head into game number 1 of the day. It's going to be starting off on World's Edge. Yeah, speaking more to that point, Team Nerf, they're getting contested. Open night, pro night, every single night, because Lava Siphon is such a hotly contested drop. TSM contested Sentinels a little bit there, so we're going to really have to keep an eye out for that.
No doubt about it, and that whole thing with TSM was so exciting to watch. Right now, it looks like Nerf's going to mix it up. They're going to go over towards Fragment West, and I like this call. I think going Central, taking a spot, possibly looking over a fight that could be going over towards the east side, because we saw some fighting east side last week too. Lava Siphon's great, but if TSM's going to be going there and Sentinels are going to be going there, you don't want to be triple contesting over there, and you want to be getting as much practice as possible. And it looks like there was a fight over towards the east side, so this is perfect for Nerf.
Yeah, Tyson already ends up losing out on 1. That's going to be act down, and that's the scare. That's the scan that's coming out for them. But Lightstar Joe goes in, gets decent damage off of that flat line, but they've already lost out on act. You can see that they have to make the call. They can't really go into the 2v3 and also have to worry about that third-party timing that could come out for Team Nerf.
Another 50-50 that was taking place as well. You see Vizio has gone down. Borton was the first player actually eliminated. So speaking of a populated area, when you take a look at over towards the Climatizer side, this is going to be a spot that C9 goes. So this is not going to be a spot that's going to be available tomorrow. So it makes you wonder, what are these teams necessarily doing? And then Skyhook is another contested spot. So 3 50-50s off of the rip. And this is the team that you were looking out for, Team Valkyrie. Excited to see what they're going to be able to do.
Excedrin, though, find themselves in a fight down at launch site. Kodagami trading away for
Poor
1.
50-50s.
Cruisin has gone down. Stomps is gone as well. And so that's going to be Lay Down Gaming coming in, taking out Team Excedrin. Vizio gone as well. 2 of our partnered squads off the rip in the first 2 minutes of the game.
This is what we were talking about. Our open night teams are here to play. There's a lot of rank grinders in here, and they don't know where you're landing. They don't have this mutual agreement that other teams do on the pro nights for a majority of the time. That was a lot of 50-50s. That was absolutely insane. 4 total. You have Overlook that was open. Epi and Survey is a great spot to go towards. Dome, it's not the best loot in the world, but that's available as well. So getting that many teams to contest each other is very, very unrare. Heck, even that no-name area where Razor is, where Tyson is, that's a spot that has potential as well. And Light Star Joe coming out here and playing with Joey Blackout. So excited to see what Joe's going to be able to do. I had an opportunity to play with Joe in turns a lot last week. 2 different teams and 2 different partnered teams, but very talented players in their own right for sure.
Yeah, we're getting our first look at the rings too, dropping down toward this southeast side. Mod and Lava City is definitely going to be hotly contested for this final end zone if teams want to try and get in. Take a look at this composition. I like it. You got the Loba along with the Seer and that Caustic. So a little bit different kind of look. Kind of meets the middle of what a lot of teams want and also tries to go for that end game with that Caustic. We'll see how that one works out for them. But taking a look at that Valkyrie fight up in the northwest side of the map, up at Skyhook, I believe that's where it was taking place. Saz is already the kill leader with 3 for his squad.
The thing is with this composition, I get that they're crafting as fast as possible, but getting on over towards Big Mod is going to be key. So the rotation's happening pretty quickly, but they need to get over there and pick their spot, because if they could set up with the zone being so close to them, it's going to be a absolute power move. Yeah, it is an open night. There are going to be a lot of kills that go down, but at some point you say, all right, let's play the placement. Let's let kills come to us. And it's going to be one of those zones that's going to be fairly highly populated, in my opinion. It can hold a lot of different teams. It's also going to be unforgiving if you're not in there. So I'm excited to see what that composition can do. And we're in that meta again where you could really play almost any single legend. CLG really proved that last week, mixing it up both open nights, but also on the pro night and in each map. They consistently changed their composition, playing some unorthodox picks that really worked out.
Yeah, the Bangalore, that was a meta pick originally, right, on Stormpoint. And they kind of went back to it and showed that it can still work. For ASG, it's going to be Atlanta Station Gaming. They're trying to make their way in towards Lava City. They do have that mini dome now. Already getting one knock. Ooh, nice damage up from Zeniles there. And the beamage onto that. That's going to be Galactic Samurai going down. Now, they do spot a team all the way over there inside of Big Mod currently. But it looks like they're just going to be happy to go ahead and take their kill points, move on, and start setting up here on top of the crafting building, which is going to be incredibly strong for them. They'll be able to control the rooftops pretty well. There aren't too many teams in the area right now, so they're not even being contested for this. Also,
I think that was an early Mastiff that we saw too. That's going to be really powerful towards these tail end zones. And like you mentioned, the crafter going to help out a ton, especially with the buffs, I guess you could say, to the ammo. I think the ammo is kind of the thing that you just got completely robbed on, right? It was like, you know, going to GameStop and returning your games. It's like, well, this is definitely not worth it at all to get this amount of ammo, but I like the changes that you can get about 60 ammo for both of your weapons. That's going to be key, especially when you're sitting up on top and letting those R301 shots rip. But Motive is over towards the fragment side, and it makes me wonder what happened to Team Nerf throughout all of this. Are they possibly trailing Team Nerf here?
Yeah. Nerf, though, are here. They're actually on Fragment East currently, not running the Gibraltar. There was a Gibraltar on the other side of this one. So Motive ended up missing out on that 3-2-1. You can see they were trying to go for the 3-2-1 on the Gibraltar. The 30-30 repeater shots not quite connecting. And now Nerf are just laying in wait. They can come in for the third party. They haven't been spotted quite yet, as Trev does get one knock onto Wavy. So we'll see if Nerf have an opportunity to come in for the third party. You can see it's going to be Custers on the other side of this one. Try to make it across the bridge. They've already used their bubble as well. They still need to fight into this one at a man disadvantage. You can see the crossfire's been set up. They can't even go for the peak as both the Gibraltar and the Seer drop down low. Now Tua comes in. Motive almost loses out on Crows, but it will be a clean fight for them. Now we do have another Seer ultimate coming in. That is the third party as Messiah gets the knock onto Crows. So they find a beautiful time for that third party as Intel get into a fight down here at launch site. They've got to be careful. Rambo goes down there. That's going to be Mike and Ike on top of Team Intel.
Yeah, MJ with the initial knock right there with the PK, and Intel's going to have to bounce out of here. We've seen some amazing plays from Icy on this Gibby, but it's going to be tough at this point. And once that bubble goes down, they're going to get pushed. Even 8 is strong, but the melee even stronger. And Jet, he's going to have to jet out of here. Not an ideal situation for Team Intel. Now, it is going to be kind of heavy on the light like on the light weapons, because what's in the crafter right now, you have the 2.4 and you have the purple mag for light ammo. So you're going to see a lot of scouts. You're going to see a lot of R301s in this type of situation. Having a crafter over towards your side is going to be huge, because you're getting basically a stacked weapon no matter what, and a primary weapon at that. So looking forward to seeing a lot of different scouts and R301s in the action. But very nicely timed fight there from Team Nerf, not showing up a little early, too early, excuse me, and then they're able to wipe all 3 players.
Buff Pathfinder going for the double scan composition here, and there it is. The Beast of the Hunt is going to get popped. Next scan coming up for Boffy, but they do need to buy time for Bursty here, who ended up taking a lot of damage. So unfortunately, the fight distance here is a little bit too long, and so it's just going to fizzle out. You can see, yeah, they're already backing away. Neither squad can really try to approach here unless they get a huge shot off. Defensive bombardment actually going down here. ASG in a fight inside Lava City right now. It's going to be Bronzy left up by himself. I don't know if this is a 1v1 or if a 1v2. It's going to be a 1v1 versus Tyson right now. Lightstar Joe on the other side of this one. Doesn't seem like he's got the heals to really try and deal with this right now. A Phoenix Kit popped right there, and he's not going to be able to use it. Big shots, he's been cracked, and now he's going to try and fight back with that EVA 8. But ultimately, he will fall. ASG ends up clutching this one up. Bronzy with that massive that you were talking about coming in clutch now. We get a better look at the ring. So Big Mod not really in. It is going to continue to pull down here towards Lava City.
That was the fight for basically the God spot. Whoever wins that is not only going to be getting that KP, but is going to continue to run up the tally on the rest of the teams, because they're just in such a power position, and the Mastiff is the perfect weapon for that scenario, especially having the health advantage. You saw how healthy he was overall. Buff Pathfinder making the move. Young Pup-Tart with the slide, coming in with the knock with the PK too. That didn't look like an 8 to me. Absolutely robbed, but he's going to take the kills either way and go for the battery here instead of the armor swap. So we'll see if they get punished for that move, but it looks like they are going to be safe. Nice and aggressive play from Buff Pathfinder, but also the double scan recon legend comp with Horizon. That is definitely a team fighting composition.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what you're looking for on the edges here. Just having basically 100% uptime, right? If you don't have the Beast of the Hunt, if you don't have the scans constantly going down, you'll have the Seer exhibit, and of course, Seer just ADSing the right click. Here's ASG, though, trying to retake their rooftop. It looks like it is going to be free for them, but they're going to go ahead and make sure, due diligence, check every single angle. You don't want to get caught off by a team lurking as an exhibit goes down. That's going to be laid down gaming. Ended up losing out on Pribation early on, never able to recover him. I know that Inax, I believe, ended up picking up one of those kills over towards that launch side area, but he has currently 3 to his name as Team Valkyrie are starting to make their rotation, and they have Buff Pathfinder above them. They've got to be careful, because I know the ultimate XLs were being popped, and so they do have that going down, and this is such a difficult spot to try and fight out of.
It's also a difficult spot not to want to drop right there, right? I mean, you have that player just running right by you. You know that he's kind of solo in a way. As Crook's going to be able to finish that one off, you could see as soon as we switched off of their screen, they were ended up taken out because we wanted to stick on this 3v3 fight over here. But all 3 members are stuck down below. So if Bursty could get a good Horizon ultimate in there and put a well-placed black hole, they are going to full send on this. But 15 seconds until the next Seer queue. Like you said, you got to stagger everything. You have to always communicate on when you're going to go and hit these scans. But perfect opportunity now to lay some damage down. No grenades, though, so that's a tough situation, and there's no way they can let this team go for free. Exactly. Big punishment right there on the angles, and now Buff Pathfinder are going to finish what they started here very shortly.
Yeah, Saz has gone down as well, so a lot of teams getting involved in this one, and now there's only 1 player remaining. I believe that's going to be Lane. They're chasing after this one. It's a race to see that who can get that final kill, as Buff Pathfinder now is holding this high ground platform angle. They will be forced to rotate in, but they do have their options. They don't really have to commit to one side. If they can move on over towards the dome, they can try and play out of there. But you can see that they're kind of contained a little bit right now because they still have to worry about their back coming in. But you can see that Gibraltar Dome has been used. They have spotted out that final rat, and that's why you can't really rat in these lobbies anymore, especially not up against the composition that Buff Pathfinder has.
I just really want to know what a Pup-Tart is as you see the shots coming in from Bursty. Is it like a Pop-Tart that's shaped like a pup, or is it like, I don't know, Jamerson, what do you think a Pup-Tart is?
For some reason, I thought it would be an ice cream treat. Every time I think about it, I always thought it was an ice cream treat. It just sounds like one to me. For Team Nerf, it looks like they might have found another fight here in the Lava Siphon area. We are down to 10 squads already, 28 players remaining, so multiple teams currently damaged right now. And it's just, it is just the meta. It is just squads looking for fights on the edges. This is honestly breaking down to just kind of like a ranked game at this point. So it makes sense if we do have a lot of ranked grinders coming in.
And it also makes sense to rock Seer in this type of situation because the information that Seer's going to give you is so valuable. And Turns ends up going with Wraith because this is Turns' most popular legend that he played ever since the beginning of Apex. I mean, he has like 40, 50k kills on Wraith and is completely comfortable. When I was playing with him last week, we talked about like comfort picks, and he's just talking about how he feels like a completely different player when he's on Wraith than any other legend. And I still think Wraith is really viable, especially in situations like this where you don't have to Valkyrie rotate into zone, and if you're trying to play edge and go for kills. Look at ASG, they even left their god spot and are playing forward over towards this respawn dome area because they desperately want to get these kill points as well.
There's a small chance, or I mean, there's like a 50-50 chance that it actually pulls up here towards the mini dome, right? And you don't want a squad like a Watson Newcastle being holed up and set up at this point. So ASG doing the right amount of pressuring here, as you can see why that next ring pulling, it's still that 50-50 between Lava City and that mini dome up top. Bronzy is still out there on his ones, and he's got to be careful. He needs some backup. Crook actually isn't giving him overwatch right now, and he's actually getting forced down. Someone signed us, though, now making a push onto one. And it looks like it might be Team Nerf who ended up losing out on one in this fight. They want to find a little bit more. The exhibit has already been used, and Bronzy ends up going down over there. It looks like Team Ince was actually on the rotation there, so Nerf able to sandwich them with someone's Sinus at this point. But, like you said, they've got this Wraith, and they don't have to worry about the rotations until they do, which is going to be now. That portal basically covers that distance all the way over there, but Team Terps find themselves in a fight right now. Buff Pathfinder on top of them, already cleaning them up. That's going to be about 6 kill points already going the way of Buff Pathfinder here. Might be a little bit more. And there's the Golden Guardian Angel res coming out for them.
Yeah, the gold knockdown res. Can't tell you how many times we've called the gold bag res. Still not over that one. Even when we're playing, it's like, you have gold bag res. It's like, oh, well, that actually doesn't work anymore. But you can hold a ton of meds with that gold backpack. There goes the portal from Turns. They're going to cover it. Intel may not know this is a duo until right there where they see, okay, only 2 people went through the portal. Where is this third player? Do we want to go and pressure this one? That was a smart rotation, and with 7 squads left, there should be some open real estate going forward. Now a team flying over towards the sky. That's still Nerf. Messiah with the wingman. Jet taking a decent amount of damage, and that is a 2 versus 3. That Messiah in Turns take right to Team Intel.
That is not supposed to happen. They should have been able to cut them off at that port beforehand. They know that there's a Wraith on the other side. They should have been there covering that port. Instead, they're taking way too long to regroup. They get taken out. Now, someone sign us. They have time to try and deal with this. 20 seconds to go. They need to deal with this squad on the outside. Otherwise, Team Nerf are about to roll up against 2v3 one more time.
Yeah, you can win as 2. We've seen it happen in the past, and again, Wraith is very viable in these late game situations where you kind of just get distracted. The Q comes out. Messiah, speaking of Q, he's the one that threw that, and maybe sometimes you know you can make some excuses where you didn't get the audio cues. Horizon can be a little bit extra silent in certain situations, but without the portal here, that makes that rotation so tough. You can see Messiah's taking a lot of damage. Turns, does whatever he can to just go and live, and now he's getting shot from behind. Mike and Knight gets eliminated, so being able to get a little bit. Oh, the battery does come out. Nice job from Turns, but that's all she wrote for them. Nice job getting that 2v3 in, but ASG, who was in the God spot for quite some time, looking like they are poised to win this game, lost out on some players too. Bronzy does have his banner retrieved. Crook, he's in the next building if you can go and get there, but the chances of pulling off a res here without a mobile respawn look basically slim to none, as you see Key Locks, another one of our open teams, over towards the side. It's kind of been the highlight of the open night right now has been the open teams taking it to the partner teams, starting with the 50-50s where Vizio and Excedrin were eliminated.
Yeah, so we're down to 4 squads, and it was really unfortunate for ASG. They had this position that Buff Pathfinder are playing off of. You can see why ASG were trying to pressure for SRC's spot right now, but there was a little bit of disconnect, and that kind of what happens when you combine two teams to form for just an open night play. So communication not quite there. They ended up getting caught out one on their own. And then from there, it kind of all fell apart. But for right now, Buff Pathfinder's trying to find this final player here as they are giving him the loop. And Zenials ended up taking out Bobby by himself. So are we about to see a 1v3? Buff Pathfinder, come on, guys. You guys don't want to go down 1v3 here.
And he's going to back off and heal instead, hoping that one of the other teams comes in for a third party. But that's a nice job even getting a knock in that type of situation. The GA res does go down, so that's pretty big. But right now, Sanal's just being a thorn in their side for Buff Pathfinder, and he's basically, single-handedly griefing their game if he continues to add pressure over towards them. But they're the closest team on the rotate next to him, so that's just bound to happen. And there's going to be a firing squad across the map. Look at the amount of damage, as you can see, he's just continuing to lay down fire. Knocks one, weakens both. Almost 1v3s them as they dropped on top of him. ASG going out in 4th place. 2k damage, though, for Zenile. And basically griefing Buff Pathfinder's game single-handedly as Primal is primed to win this game. Perfect position for them. Let's see if they can close this one out.
It's the final two squads. Someone Sinus versus Primal right now. SRC inside. Someone Sinus do have a crossfire setup. Locks as far back. Playing that anchor for his squad, which is usually not what you do on the Valkyrie. You want to try and play off these positions, but this angle here doesn't provide too many high ground opportunities for you to really try and play around. But there's the first knock, Key getting it onto Spades. They're going to go ahead and charge forward and focus one more down. And now it's the final player, and Someone Sinus will walk away with our first victory of the evening.
Nice job from Someone Sinus, but look at the setup right there. You have all these Watson fences. You think you'd want to kind of use that to your advantage. I kind of question the over peak outside of the dome area there, Jamerson. I feel like you kind of want to stay in there and let them come to you. They were a little bit, not in unison right there. They weren't on the same page, that's for sure. And just not enough fences down. And if you have the fences down, you might as well use them. But either way, that was a great start for our open teams, and our partner teams are going to have to step it up.
Yeah, somewhere along the lines of like 3 or 4 of our partner squads were the first squads out without getting any points, I don't believe. So it's going to be interesting to shape up, but it's usually that first game where you kind of have to shake out the rust here, etc. That was the surprising one, I think, overall. That was extremely caught us off guard for them to go down. Now they aren't playing with their with Kimchi Lee today. It looks like there is a fill, so there's at least one thing to keep in mind. ASG with an early fight taking out Galactic Samurai, and they ended up getting one of the better positions overall, but kind of rested on their laurels and ended up Bronzy going down a little bit too early on here.
Yeah, also testing the waters, right? I mean, I think that's what game 1 is about, and maybe that's why some of the partner teams fell a little short, maybe playing a little bit too aggressive. ASG, they played a little bit too aggressive. This was that great fight between Bronzy and Light Star Joe, but the Mastiff in that situation is just perfect, especially when you're dancing around the knockdown shields with the changes that happen to the reloads so you can get 2 pellets reloaded in one push. This was also a great move from Buff Pathfinder. Unfortunately for them, wow, they got grief big time by Zenile. That could have been a great opportunity for them. Out of all the teams that we've seen here, they've been our most consistent out of the 4 teams that were in that final circle, but they just couldn't find one player, and Zenile played that so well.
They were trying. Scans were going down, looking for him that entire time. And
they got to try harder.
There was a huge shot. There was a huge chance. He had 4 Arc Stars. They had to drop down on him. I feel like if he had just Arc Stars spammed like the ground, he would have actually been able to 1v3 them there. But the Nile just making them kind of hate him, essentially, in that game. Congratulations, though. Of course, that first game was a really nice one for our open squads, for our teams that are looking to try and make a name here in Series E. For right now, though, we're going to go ahead and send it on over to Yeser to break down game number 1, and when we'll get back, we'll have game number 2 right after this.
Someone sign us with a nice victory there to kick off the night, but it felt like one of the biggest stories of that game was, first of all, as Jamerson and T-Squared mentioned, the partnered squads getting kind of picked apart early on in that first game, but also Atlanta Station Gaming. Of course, an interesting mix of players and personalities there, but they looked pretty damn good, and Zenile almost clutching the 1v3 off of the drop there as the circle closed. I mean, that was, I would say, much closer than any team wants that sort of fight to be, and Zenile almost took advantage of it and kept ASG going. We'll have to see what they can do the rest of the day because, of course, a ton of talent on that team competing today. Let's take a look, though, at our champion squad here. Someone sign us with their performance in this game. They pick up 8 kills for themselves, so a nice 20-point performance here from the Someone Sign Us squad. Of course, we'll see, hey, maybe if they can live up to their name as we get ready for year 3 of the ALGS, whenever that happens. Who knows? Your guess is as good as mine, but Lotta and Key here with some solid damage there. Locks filling in behind as well, but a really good team performance in this one. Let's take a look, though, now at our Mobile One high performance moment here for game number 1 of the day. Of course, we'll have 6 of these to look at all throughout today's performance. A good note, in my opinion, from Tom, talking about how the Watson fences are set up so nicely, but they push out from safety. SRC forsake the safety of these fences, forsake that position of control, and they come out to meet Someone Sign Us on their turf, and it opens up a fight for them that they really shouldn't have had here. Someone Sign Us have to make the play, and they have to move forward, and just giving them the opportunity to not have to deal with any of those fences, I think, is a minor mistake here that hopefully SRC will not make again. But they had a solid game. They were showing up in the kill feed pretty often. They're, of course, going to be kicking themselves not winning this final fight, but it's just good shots there from Lotta and the squad. They get the initial knock, and then once they have the numbers advantage, they're able to clean everything else up, and it's why they take a win here in our first game of the day. It was CLG a week ago, making top 3 in 5 of 6 games, winning 2 of those that got them to triple digits. The question is, can anybody chase down the performance that they had a week ago? Someone Sign Us at least with a first step towards that goal. We're going to go to a quick break right now. When we come back, we've got game 2 on deck for all of you.
I'll be loading up, they wanna package this. Pray for peace, pacifist, I'm never old enough to give a promise.
When the chicken is this crispy and this tasty, it doesn't matter what else is for dinner. Tyson crispy strips are so delicious, they'll be your favorite part of every meal. More crispy chicken, more family faves, more to love.
All right, welcome back to Series E. Someone Sign Us taking that first win in game number 1. You can see why still squads want to play center zone. and, well, they are rewarded for it, Tom. Still getting the placement points and the kill points at the end there. So it was a nice little game for them. They ended up getting 8 kill points overall, so that'll put them in first place with 20, but you can see why also squads are running just for the hard edge. That double scan composition for buff Pathfinder really working out in their favor. Even though they went down in 3rd place and got 7 points, they had 11 kill points there to come out in 2nd place.
Yeah, very top heavy, in terms of the point situation for these top 5 squads. I would say there's a lot of surprising things there. We talked about the partner teams kind of falling short and the open teams coming through strong. 4 out of the first 5 teams are open teams. But Nerf taking down Team Intel the way that they did, they were on the low ground. They were basically in the worst position that you could be. They only had 2 players, and they still won the fight. Really just not acceptable for Team Intel, especially with a Gibby. I mean, you could throw the bubble down. You could do a lot of different things to work around all of that. That was just, something like you said, you called out that you don't really expect to see at this caliber of Apex. So shout out to Nerf for doing what they did. Again, great Q from Messiah. They were able to close that down, but a really exciting game number 1, a very fast-paced game number 1, and I'm not anticipating it slowing down at all.
Yeah, we had about 12 squads remaining by round number 3. After round number 1, we were already down to about 16. So it is basically keeping pace with the meta right now. But let's go ahead and head into game number 2. Someone sign us our winners from game number 1. Trying to remember if they were one of the squads that were getting into contest. We had a lot of 50-50s taking place when at Fragment East. Someone sign us, I believe,
they were
actually fighting over Acclimatizer. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of wild because I forgot that they were the team to fight over here, but this is the complete opposite of where the previous zone was, and this is a very interesting 50-50. They're taking it right to him over here. Another 50-50 happening over towards the southern side of the map, and Motive is going to be able to... Oh, actually, this is Countdown, so this is an area that wasn't contested previously. So this is a 5th POI now where 50-50s are going down and some good shots coming in with the Sentinel. Dudes are eliminated. See you dudes later. Vizio, they're still looting up over towards the side. And they were eliminated fairly early. I think 19th place previously. So we'll see if they can get it together here.
Yeah, and someone pressed the button, so there was 400, maybe 500 HP and broken shields down there in that fight at Countdown. For Team Excedrin, though, they are over here at launch site once again. They were another squad, I believe, that were in an early fight down here, and they do actually have that squad on the other side. So typical split when it comes to the launch site split, the north and the south, as we get our first look at the ring. Looks like it's going to be a thermal station ending, could possibly pull up towards staging. So it's going to be interesting to see how Mike and Ike want to play this one out. They have the opportunity with how slow teams are on the rotate to try and go after SRC. So if they spot out that SRC are running that Newcastle Watson composition, they might try and full send it onto them if they don't have the initial setup.
You saw pings going down for Mike and Ike where they kind of want to play. There's a couple of different options, right? That choke is very popular ending. It's tough because a lot of teams will try to send it to you from multiple areas. There's the buildings that are still going to be in over towards the southern side of Thermal Station too. But also there's where that normal beacon scan would be above where the hot springs are on that platform and that rock that sticks out, which is a very powerful spot. And I think that's where Mike and Ike most likely wants to play. And it's almost going to be a race to that spot between them and the team that lands over towards staging. So I like the ping coming down from Mike and Ike, and I feel like it's one of those zones that you have a lot of kill potential if you can get there early. And I would love to see them already making their move all the way over there. But the problem is I don't know if they have a crafter, and Scout PK without a scope or without a mag is going to be tough. And you're like, why can't I find any mags? Well, the purple mag's inside of the crafter and the 2-4 is inside of there as well. So this is not a good spot to be in for MJ.
The other issue is that it's Thermal Station. With the ring changes, you don't quite have the priority coming out of Thermal Station to try and hit a zone if you're trying to get all the loot here. We already know how notoriously slow a lot of Thermal Station teams are when it comes to looting, just because of how big and massive this POI is and how often you get it to completely yourself. G2, very notorious for, having to play on the edge almost all the time because of that. and now they have to deal with that early zone closing in. It looks like Motive ended up finding a fight. Team Terps were knocked out from them, and Team Motive, another squad that we didn't really get to talk about, but this is a squad that has been slowly climbing up and making waves in Tier 3, Tier 2, so I'm excited to see what they have in store for us once maybe Challenger Circuit starts popping up.
Yeah, especially because they have another composition that's not normal. They're rocking the Fuse over here, so a little bit of a Furia composition as you see what Excedrin's up to. Eliminated early in game number 1. Now they're bouncing back here with some early KP over towards the tree side of the map. And keep in mind, 2 major POIs still not taken, maybe even 3 or 4. Surveyed Epicenter were untouched. Dome was untouched. Overlook was untouched, so a lot of 50-50s that don't necessarily need to happen, and there's only 3 games on World Jet, so we're past the halfway point at this point as we move into game number 2. And now you see the scan coming down again. The double scan composition going to be very powerful here on the open night.
Okay, that's a little bit of an early cue coming out as that, the Singularity is going to be used just to cover that door for now. Try to bring someone in. That they don't get the initial knock, though, but here is the flank out from Cruisin'. He does get challenged, hitting 90 there, as now Stomps is chasing after them. Laid down Gaming are sent down to the grave here, as Excedrin will go ahead and get that easy cleanup on the rest of those members. And they still have 1 minute and 40 seconds to work with here on the edges if they want to try and find more fights. Seeing that was a Watson composition, I feel like there's probably going to be Ultimate Excels here, and so they'll be able to get back up and ready for another fight fairly shortly. For Mike and Ike, though, it seems like they're going to go ahead and take a page out of G2's book here and play this one very passively, playing on top of the sniper post here in Thermal Station.
Can't say I agree with this personally, as you see Intel down below here. You still don't have the mag yet for MJ, which is tough because 10 scout bullets just really aren't enough. I mean, you're going to have to hit a lot of your shots. It's kind of like having that wingman with 6 bullets. Just doesn't really add up. Joey Blackout's going to get a knock onto Psycho. This is going to be a fight between the open team and Team Tyson over here. That is Team Slept On. So Slept On right now already has 2 knocks, and now it's up to Act, and Slept On going to get the better of Team Tyson, one of the teams that we highlighted previously. A bunch of rank grinders, but they are on the verge of getting third-partied. Big spray coming down, almost the full 1 clip coming in from Go, and this is Stomps getting knocked. Doesn't really have time to go and hit the heels, and now Excedrin going to go and send this one in the 2-on-1 situation. I don't believe they were able to get the res quite yet, and now Excedrin's going to answer right back with a res of their own, and you can expect a lot more teams to come over here, Jamerson.
Yeah, the scan actually getting canceled there by the Syracuse, but the thing is, this is double scan, so one might go down, you have another one still available for yourself, so it's the 2v2 right now. Cruisin' doesn't quite have the Q quite yet to get back on up. Kodagami will have his scan in just a moment, tries to bait it out with that res. Now he's going to hold on for that one. There it is, 3 hostiles detected. And so it looks like either side are just going to go for that full resets as Razor comes in for that third party. So kind of saving Excedrin just a little bit here, but it does seem like they finish off Goat, and Psycho ends up beaming down Sang. Luckily for Razor, though, they do have this cover to work with right now, and Slept On just... We'll see if Psycho can try and recover this, but he's just honestly putting himself in between 2 teams right now, Excedrin and Team Razor.
Yeah, and he has to recognize that situation that when you're here, you have to avoid being seen, and I like the idea of going for the banners. Potentially these 2 teams fight, and you can go and get that res. Unfortunately for him, he gets scanned and isn't playing a character that has much movement. So we'll see if Excedrin, gets a little distracted by the enemy team across, and they do. And that's an opportunity for Psycho to get away. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Psycho was the first person knocked on his team. So it's one of those situations where they get him back up, and it's like, all right, Psycho, what do you got for us? Because we just saved your butt. Now you got to save us.
Yeah, he will be able to get the res here, and he's just praying that, the fighting actually breaks out over there at that other respawn beacon on the train tracks. And if it does, oh no, unfortunately for him, we've got ASG in the area right now crafting, and they're going to see that ship in the air. You can see instantly the ping's going down, and they're going to go ahead and full send this one, Tom.
Yeah, there's not going to be enough time for these players to take the zip line over towards the high ground and get out of there. You can see Karma has absolutely no idea. They're thinking, all right, yeah, is this a little bit unlooted? Sweet, at least I have guns. But right about now is when they're going to start getting shot at. Psycho's the first one to go and take damage. They're going to have to retreat all the way back down to tree. But once you see 2 players falling out of that dropship, you know that they are foaming at the mouth, waiting to get on over towards this fight.
Ooh, they might be able to swing back around, maybe pick up some of their loot. We'll see if Team Excedrin are still there. Imagine that they're probably moved out. Actually, ASG ends up getting third parties from behind, and that's why they could not give chase anymore. Crook was low, and it's Team Excedrin that ends up saving their lives. Excedrin, unfortunately, probably had the same idea. Hey, they got the res here. Let's go ahead and turn around on them. Instead, they find a full 3v3 up against another squad. The Beast of the Hunt is popped for Kodagami here, but they don't want to play inside the exhibit quite yet. Let's just go ahead and back away, and it looks like this fight will be another sizzle between the both squads, or excuse me, fizzle, and they'll just go ahead and back away. So, what an interesting, set of events here. As oh boy, it looks like another fight's coming the way to Excedrin now.
You never know if they got their loot back, and this is going to come full circle, literally. Multiple circles around the map just to go and get their loot back. And a great job by our spectator team to pick all of this up to see which teams were coming in the area, finding out, how they even got to this type of situation. And it is slept on back with their loot. So this is, this may end up with ASG coming right back around the corner over here, as you also see in the kill feed. Turns from Team Nerf getting a knock onto Borton from Vizio. So multiple fights still taking place, but this has been the most exciting one by far as we switch on over as this one finishes off. Turns is on the hunt for the final players.
Yeah, I believe this is already 2 knocks for Team Nerf. So they already have this team fight win. They just need to finish off the last one. You can see Terms even use that port to, it looks like, get on top of them. Sung is the only one remaining. No banners recovered there. Zanile did end up getting a knock on to go. So yeah, ASG did double back around. And what is this game?
Now
what
Goat's
is
down.
This fight?
This is the longest 3-team, 4-team fight of all time. And whoever wins this obviously is the better team out of all of them. That's just the way that Apex works. Team Int now gets involved, and they didn't get the memo that they can't spoil the fight. They may get taken out early. They didn't get the invite early. They're coming in with the late invite. If you're coming in, you need to be fashionably late with the kills. The res does go on to Raze. Vizio getting knocked out. They finish off what Nerf had already started. Excedrin goes out first. They were the first team of that giant fight. And now Slept On is going to have to get Goat back into this one. And we've already seen some amazing plays from Psycho. Let's see if Karma is going to be either detrimental or a saving grace here. I have a feeling it's going to be a lot easier with 2 players than 1.
This is just crazy because in the last 3 minutes, I mean, there was just so much story in the last 3 minutes around this one fight. It's like you're reading or you're watching like the Lord of the Rings extended cut at this point, like it just kept going on, and there are like so many characters you have to keep track of. But ultimately, ASG did find that priority position here, making sure that they were basically, on the good side of the ring. They weren't actually taking that ring damage. They were able to pressure from this high ground angle throughout all of that. You can see Bronzy getting some free loot up top, all that Excedrin loot. We are now down to 13 squads. 38 players remaining as they spot out a skyward dive, it seems. For Buff Pathfinder, though, they have not been able to find much fighting quite yet, but the fight's coming their way. Bursty and Young Pop-Tart almost going down instantly. They're regretting their decisions in taking that Q. Pop-Tart somehow survives, making it behind cover. And now we'll see if Bursty can rejoin his squad. The nades are on top of them. Sane gets the knock onto Young Pop-Tart. So now we'll see if they can continue to chase after them. Bracelet to get a little bit aggressive here, but now Sang has to be careful. There's someone on the lurk. That's going to be Bursty. That was there the entire time. So that's going to be a 1-for-1 exchange. But they should have the utility here to finish the... Oh my goodness! Bursty is doing huge things for his squad right now. And now it's just Blake Q watching on. He does end up finally getting that knock on to Bursty, but I don't know if he's going to have the opportunity to try and get the thirst, try and grief them a little bit here. He does have that Q. He's a little bit out of range, needs to get closer, and I don't think he actually cancels that res.
At this point, they're realizing mistakes were made, Jamerson. Major mistakes were made, and Razor going out. Pop-Tart somehow gets back in. I mean, the Thermite was amazing. The Q was absolutely insane, but what a job hiding there from Bursty, unseen. But you can also see a little bit of the, the weakness in that composition. That composition really isn't made to full send, right? Horizon, Valkyrie, Seer, maybe double scan in Valkyrie or double scan and anything besides what they have, basically, because the ability to collapse is It was made after that Q, and ever since then they were all staggered so much there was no way they could cross without getting shot at. And you saw the charge rifles were coming in, the long range shots were coming in, angles were being taken. Bronzy gets knocked in your kill feed by another one of our open teams. Someone, Sinus, is making their move. Crook is the second one to fall, and that's all she wrote for ASG. 4th place in the previous game, 11th place here. They did pick up some kill points along the way, but almost every single time there's been a fight, it's been answered right back. This is the duo of Slept On, and Slept On just gets slapped on. Someone, Sinus, looking strong.
Yeah, this is going to be another great game for them in just a moment. Winners from game number 1 will be able to back it up. Get the two back-to-back as Team Nerf now, but ready to take another fight. Team Intel ends up losing out on Rambo. That Saw's going down as well. And so now here on the north side, a lot of teams fighting because, well, they have to. You can see that natural kind of funneling that's happening here on the north side as they continue to push forward. Intel have been knocked out throughout all of this as Nerf are trying to chase down that last player. There we go. Getting that thirst onto Saws. Now Team Nerf, once they clear this one out, they'll have a nice safe little pocket to play here on the north side.
This is playing out like a pub right now. You know, I've seen pubs last longer than this. This is absolutely insane pace coming in on our open night, and sometimes you're not quite sure how fast the pace is going to be or if it's even slow down in Storm Point, but right now everyone's responding to everything, right? The third parties end up being fourth and fifth parties. If you take a fight, you have to reset. Not only that, the most important thing, you can't afford to get knocked in this lobby right now. When you take a 3v3, it has to be a clean 3v3. You have to have a huge advantage. And if you end up getting knocked, you could assume that you're just going to end up playing at a disadvantage.
Oh, you can see Motive are doing the calculations in their head. Do we drop down, finish off the solo by himself, and then leave ourselves vulnerable? Like, how badly do we want this kill point? They do not, because they have someone Sinus that will be playing that choke just to their south, and so they need to play off that. For Mike and Ike, even though they dropped down here at Thermal Station, they haven't been able to get much going at all. Luckily for them, though, their loot is still looking good. They have plenty of heals, they have throwables remaining, their ammo looks fantastic, especially for a squad that basically had to play center zone from the get-go here. Unfortunately for them, they don't get any kill points. That's the trade-off that you play with some, especially in this very, fight-heavy meta right now for SRC. They were our second place squad from game number 1. They're the ones that are looking to gatekeep just a bit, and they will have a little bit of priority here as Motive ends up getting into this fight, and Valkyrie ends up getting cleaned up here, and that's what you're worried about. Here's Team Nerf, though, coming around for the third party.
Yeah, Messiah going for the R301 shots, but it's tough when you're in that Horizon queue. There goes the Fuse ultimate, and whoa, the Sky Nade from Force. It looks like they're going to get burned a little bit throughout this situation, but they already have the advantage with the knock. Turns does have plenty of batteries if he wants to go and use that one. Still has his Q saved in the back pocket. Zone starting to collapse over here too, so it's just a matter of time before Motive gets eliminated, and they do in 6th place. Nerf starting to heat up here. I think they got a little bit of confidence after winning that 2v3 against Intel.
Yeah, and what I worried about happening for Team Motive is exactly what happened. They dropped down to finish off its corn, and because of that, they leave themselves in a very vulnerable spot. Team Nerf realize it. They're able to push on them, get some free damage off. Here is Buff Pathfinder, though, finding another fight. Key from someone's side. They end up getting one knock. It is traded back and forth, but there is the thirst at the very least. So they're going to be playing without Leda unless they've got that mobile respawn, a beacon. Someone's side is trying their best to survive for now. Key, his cell getting canceled here, and now they're going to go ahead and send it in. That Thermite right on top just to force him out. Someone's Sinus have been knocked out. That's going to be Buff Pathfinder pick this one up, but Team Nerf are already here for the third party, and there's almost no recovery option here for them. Nerf, though, relents a little bit on the pressure, but now here we go. The nade spam coming in, the Singularity not getting cleared out quite yet. Percy getting pulled in. They're still playing off that knockdown shield as Messiah has a beautiful angle. He has been cracked, but here's a Thermite now once again doing the exact same thing they did to them, but somehow not getting connects with that Thermite. Surprisingly enough, there's a small corner here. Bursty is still playing on the flank. We'll see if he can do a little bit here, but it looks like this time around he will not be able to clutch up for his squad. Team Nerf will clean them up. They are now the kill leaders, or at least Messiah is with 5, and they have at least 7. And now the zone closing in. It's the final 3 squads.
You just can't get knocked. I mean, Turns gets knocked right there, but he's very fortunate that these two teams are preoccupied with one another. And you saw in the Seer meta, we all know what Seer does. He cancels your reses. He gives you, an idea of how many shields you have. And I think we all know what that pylon means too. You can't chuck a nade, so MJ realizing that one and gonna hold those nades for something a little bit more important, and that's why you take out the generator, the interception pylon in time. Now there's a random wall that just got sent across, even though that was pretty interesting to say the least. Now it's the air fight of the century over here. Looks like some DBZ stuff.
Oh, man. MJ has taken a lot of damage here as he tries to battle Messiah mid-air. They're going to try and drop down on him. Forsey isn't quite aware that he's getting flanked now. The G7 Scout, not quite what you want to finish things off. And so, unfortunately, they did not have the weapons to try and deal with Team Nerf, who have been taking team fight after team fight. Huge game number 2 for Team Nerf.
What a punch to end it right there. I felt like that punch went through the monitor right into my soul. Nothing's worse than getting punched out for the final kill. And like you said, the scout there, if you have the R301 or anything else, maybe flatline, it's going to be working a lot better. But in that type of situation, Nerf already had so much momentum. Not only that, Mike and Ike was on the verge of getting the third party coming at them, and Nerf was so clean in the way that they took that fight. They were methodical. Yeah, it wasn't the cleanest fight from top to bottom when you have the high ground and you have someone knocked already, but to be able to do that and recover so quickly, reset. The GA was really huge to be able to get that res on to turn so he can just heal up that much faster, and the presence of mind to just instantly send it. I mean, I don't know if we're going to get to a Zone 6 closing here today because these games are going so fast.
Yeah, we haven't had that one quite yet, and it has been incredibly fast again. We were down to about like 7 squads, zone number 4, so it's partly the meta. Also, our squad's really trying to figure out how to play more of that edge style. A lot of teams really picking that one up. So congratulations for Team Nerf bouncing back here in game number 2. That should easily be like a 25, maybe 27 point game for them. They were fragging out every single zone. They were picking up kills. We had some amazing fights as well taking place. Motive off the 50-50. This one was fun to watch.
Again, I want to go back to the previous game where Intel was able, to give them that confidence. When you see that 2v3 take place, when it's a team as skilled as Intel, when it's a team that you're fighting on the bubble to make it into Series E, that gives you so much of a momentum boost going forward. And Nerf is the team that's going to ride off of that. And it was Messiah in turn. So Force watches that and says, hey, I'm pumped up now. And everyone gets, the blood flowing. And right now, Nerf's the team to beat after watching that game.
All right, we're going to go ahead and send it on over to Yesa to break down game number 2. And right afterwards, we're going to have game number 3, our final one on World's Edge.
A great call out there from Tom talking about that 2v3 fight win from Nerf against Intel back in game 1, because that was the first thing I thought of when we really started to see Nerf building momentum in this second game. It was like, damn, they're just still kind of riding high off of that clutch win from game 1, and they parlay that into a win here. And I love the the melee finish there to end the game as they take the win here in game 2. But well played from Nerf. And again, this is a team I've talked about it before. When they all are here, because Nerf is one of the struggles that Nerf has had this season is just a struggle to get everybody available in here for Series E at the same time. They've had to work with subs and stand-ins at multiple points throughout the season, and that hurts kind of team cohesion, the ability to kind of build momentum and play at your best ability. But when Turns, Force, and Messiah are all here, they are all together, this is a very dangerous team, and it showed in that game. They pick up 13 kills for themselves, so I believe Jamerson said 25 to 27 points. Well, 25 right on the nose, so good guess there, Jamerson. They had a banger performance in this one. Messiah, not surprised here, leading the way in kills and damage. But Nerf, when they are firing on all cylinders, are the best team, in my opinion, pound for pound, in Series Z this season. They are so good when they are on their game, and they're going to be difficult to deal with for the rest of today because they have built that momentum and that confidence here in the first 2 games. Let's take a look, though, at our Mobile One high performance moment here for game number 2. Of course, one more game on World's Edge before we end the day, and it's just that wonderful arc star from MJ to start things off here for Mike and Ike, wiping out SRC, who get into the top 3 once again here in game 2. But then MJ taking to height with that gravity lift and unfortunately is not able to get the knock here onto Messiah, and that just means it's going to be much more difficult because he drops down to the low once again. Mar gets knocked. MJ hoping for a little bit of cover here, but it isn't going to protect him from the punches there of Nerf. But that was a very satisfying arc star to watch, because you could just see everybody piled up right where it was, and they couldn't move away from Mike and Ike due to the flanking positioning of Nerf. So SRC, caught between a rock and a hard place, and they go down as a result. But this is one that MJ, those mid-air shots with the G7 to try and knock Messiah are so hard to land. You're going to be hard-pressed to make that play kind of mid-air in the clutch, and unfortunately isn't able to hit the shots, and that sets a Nerf up for success, and they clean up that fight very, very well as soon as Mike and Ike land on the ground. We'll see if maybe Nerf can keep things rolling in game number 3. Can they close out the first half of the day as strong as they did here in game number 2? We'll find out when we come back. Jamerson and Tom will have the call for you in a few.
All right, welcome back to Series E. It was a monstrous game at number 2 for Team Nerf just before the break. So let's go ahead and check in with the Mobile One leaderboard to see exactly where they stand. And rightfully so, they're in first place, 37 points. Another top finish for Someone Sinus, though. Will maintain at least a high position for them, but Buff Pathfinder have caught up. So now we have 2 teams tied at 32 points each. Someone Sinus and Buff Pathfinder there. We also have ASG and SRC trailing behind them.
That's a lot of points for, one partnered team, then the next partnered team is 20 points away, right? And keep in mind the cumulative leaderboard, so if we have an opportunity to pull that up, that's a big deal, because Team Intel and Team Nerf are kind of duking it out for that 3rd and 4th spot, if I'm not mistaken. And then you have teams like Tyson who are trying to make their way up too, and they only have 2 points. And granted, there's still 4 more to go. But this is something that is a really big deal, considering this is the last month of Series E for Season 5.
Yeah, it's been a rough day for Team Tyson along with Team Razor so far. I mean, we got to see what happened with Team Razor there in game number 2. Just a very unfortunate kind of timing on that fight. I feel like they should have known that Bursty was there. They beamed down 2 when, remember, that push out was coming from the buildings, and they only caught 1 moving back. And so, I don't know. It feels like a lot of communication errors are happening right now between our teams. Hopefully they can clean things up. We still have 4 games left to go. One final one here on World's Edge before we make that swap on over towards Storm Point, which is going to be a whole new beast altogether once we go over there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the overall leaderboard if we can, just because it is the final week, and I really do want to kind of drive home the point for a lot of our squads right now, because time is running out. After this week, we only have a few more remaining, and so, yeah, for a team like Tyson, they cannot be having these 1-point games.
And this is updated. More. Yeah, this is updated because Nerf was sitting at 4th before this, so they went from 4th to 2nd in 2 games, Jamerson. That's insane. Heck, if they keep playing like this, they could take over 1st place overall, and that would feel so good for a team that has been sitting on the outside, potentially not even making it in. So every game just matters so much here in the final moments. And you saw some tough breaks from certain teams, like we mentioned the Razor play over towards Thermal Station, and it's just really not acceptable to be that staggered from your team, right? Like you said, miscommunication had to be the error in that type of spot, because you could cue back on over towards your team and bracelet back towards your team, or you could play forward. And it seemed like they were split in between, hey, we're in an end game composition, not an aggressive composition. I can't really cross over there. And B, I want to stay in our spot because we're going to have to rotate eventually out of here and do something about that. And it was still pretty early in the game. I think there was around 13 squads left or so. That's a tough situation, right? So whoever's the IGL or the secondary IGL in terms of making the calls for the skirmishes just needs to be really loud, and sometimes repeating yourself and getting loud so the team understands how important it is really key. But hey, I don't have enough time to talk about that. These players don't have enough time to even think about that. It's time for World's Edge, game number 3, the final game on World's Edge before we move to Storm Point. If you're just joining us, get ready for some 50-50s. Get ready for some fast-paced gameplay. There are about 3 or 4 different 50-50s taking place.
Yeah, here's the one at Countdown, and it looks like Motive have already ended up getting the initial armors on this 50-50 over at Countdown. And they've got the purples, they've got the blues as well. They're trying to chase after him. It looks like they were able to spot out one, maybe just on the edge of that Syracuse. Was not able to get him, but Kroos is on top, getting that crack. 86 on that blue. And honestly, that's crazy. 3 blue armors and a purple already off the drop here at Countdown. We don't even know what the rest of this squad has, but there's Team Motive picking up their first kill of the game now, as they're going to try and chase down the rest. There is going to be a knuckle cluster in, try and slow things down, at the very least keep them contained, and so they're going to continue to push forward.
And that's why Countdown's considered one of the best POIs inside of World's Edge, because you're guaranteed such great armors overall. You end up a little bit low on ammo. Sometimes you do get the crafter as well, but there's a lot of times when you land over towards, Lava City and over towards the northern side, Lava Fisher, excuse me, and Landslide, and you go to third party this, but you're terrified because they're going to at least have a purple and a blue bare minimum. So if you're not coming in with the right armors, you're looking at potentially losing this fight and giving them even more kills. So I like the the play. I like the aggressiveness. Finishing that fight very quickly is a big deal as we take a look at the zone, and it's moving over towards the northeast side. So a handful of different zones so far in our 3 games. Not that old southern type of zones that we've seen in the past.
Unfortunately, I was watching the map the entire time, but Sauls was trying to take trials by himself, and Team Motive ended up sending 3-man onto him, while the rest of his squad was kind of split up at Skyhook. Speaking of another fight, though, we do have one that looks like over here at Lava Siphon right now. Custers, who honestly, they're not in the greatest of spots. We'll see if they have maybe a Beast of the Hunt to use for this fight, but you can see, yeah, instantly they're kind of regretting that one, backing away right now. The positioning wasn't great. They didn't have this angle at the very least, and you can see why they had to back away from this fight. But now they're kind of leaving themselves contained themselves inside of that car, while the other side is setting up the crossfire. We've got the exhibit going down as well, and it's going to be slept on pushing forward. We'll see if they can take this fight quickly, as they do have that team inside. Once again, oh, that grav lift being used just to send them to their deaths. Goat has gone down, and he does end up getting thirsted, but Custers will get cleaned up by slept on, and it's going to be a quick rest for them. For Team Excedrin, though, it looks like they do find themselves in a small little engagement here. They have used that exhibit. No one really being picked up on this one, but for the time being, there is the scan. They will be able to find this last player.
Nice shot there, laid down, gets taken out in 19th place. Dome was completely uninhibited before, and now it looks like either a team is landing there or they're taking the fight over towards that side of the map. Someone's Sinus, you could see what their situation is. They have a decent amount of points overall. I believe they're sitting in second place, 30-30, and the Volt in hand. A very, very powerful combination for Key if he's able to especially get those crafting materials and find that 2-4. Maybe a heavy mag could go a long way here too, so you're going to have to continue to loot up. But I like the way Someone Sinus has been playing, and I like the way that our open teams have been playing overall. Looks like Tyson wants to get in on the action and starts pressuring over towards the side. And if I'm not mistaken, was it Z Davis who just complained about the Seer Horizon meta and now on Twitter maybe 20 minutes ago, and now they're rocking double scans? Shame on you, Z Davis. Shame on you.
If you can't beat them, you join them at this point, right? And Team Tyson, though, they do need to catch up. Only 2 points for them overall. And so with 4 games left to go, they need a big pop-off game. Looks like we might have a big pop-off game here. ASG versus Team Excedrin right now. Cruisin ends up picking up that first knock onto Cruttons, and Niles gets melted. Wow. Cruisin doesn't even have a skull piercer on that wingy. He just laid waste to them.
That was nasty. You know, hitting your wingman shots, wingman is so powerful early in the game. It's powerful at all moments of the game, and you can see why right there. If you're able to hit your shots, it's just lights out for the enemy team, as now Motive is on the move. This is the second fight we've seen over towards the countdown area, and it looks like some charge rifle action is here. Goat, who was thirsted previously, is now back up, and it looks like they are getting some knocks as well. There goes the second player on this team. That's going to be Donks getting dropped. A lot of early aggression as anticipated. Things not slowing down here in World's Edge. And a little bit of BM over there as Karma finds the second one, and the third goes out. SRC Primal getting dropped by Slept On. That's their second team fight win.
I'm pretty sure that was the second time he actually killed Donks and hit him with the finisher again. Now we do have Buff Pathfinder trying to make a push. There's going to be a Newcastle wall being used there. Double scans out. Nice little damage. Here comes that Singularity, and they're going to be contained inside. They try to push out, as Team Razor already losing out on one. Box of T will fall next, and Buff Pathfinder makes short work of them. But here's Team Tyson now coming in for the third party. The Singularity might actually work against them at this point. But Team Tyson, Ack is by himself. Bursty once again ends up taking him out. It's down to a 2v2 here. The scan out now, and Joey Blackout, I believe, has that Beast of the Hunt popping once again. Has that scan one more time available for himself as he pops that one down. Dropping down, going in. Hits for Flash. Needs one more shot. Please connect. There we go. Bursty will fall. And now Young Pop-Tart is on top of things here. And now Joey Blackout with the armor swap will come in to finish it off. Was that a big no-reg on that PK shot?
No.
See, Davis, there's no shot. He dies here. There we go. He survives. We'll be able to get that res very shortly here. Now we join on board with Mike and Ike, who find themselves in a fight at Harvester.
That was actually a miss, but he got an armor swap right there. I think that's what it was, and maybe it hit the wall. But either way, great job recovering there, and I really feel like if you don't hit that last 30-30 shot, that could have been embarrassing. Not only that, you're losing the team fight if you don't hit that one too. So really nice job from Tyson. And when you see where the zone is moving, that's why there was so much fighting going on over towards this side. It is very important to lock down this overlook side. C. Davis is already on top of going to hit this res over towards the backhand side. A couple of teams are going to be in the vicinity, but this should be completely safe. And when you look at the southern western area of World's Edge, it's starting to look a little bit like your Kings Canyon ranked games.
What the hell is going on? Why do we still have 3 teams on the edge all the way on the southwest side? We also have Nerf that are lurking over at Skyhook right now to try and take out Lane's squad. Vizio versus Someone Sinus, very extended 50-50. This has been like a 7-minute long 50-50 between the T squads, who have been fighting over basically Climatizer and this position this whole time right now, as they got a nice connect there with that longbow. We'll see if they can get a little bit more, and it looks like that lurk coming out from Team Nerf finally paying off. They've already gotten 2 kills there. Is Borden fortunately not able to get the knock, but they do at least secure this loot from Leda, and they'll be able to pick that one up.
Yeah, this is the fight that never ends, basically, is Valkyrie. Team Valkyrie is eliminated in 13th place. Now, here's the question, Jamerson, is do you want to be a team that's on the edge, or do you want to take a position sort of like Tyson? Because we all know what's going to happen for Tyson. They were looking for those early third parties. Now they're going to set up in the zone. And, yeah, they should most likely get a top 3, top 5 finish and get those placement points. but they're not really going to get any kill points. So it makes you wonder, do you maybe even leave that God spot and start doing some sort of gatekeeping and then come back a little bit later? Always such a tough call to make, as Mar shows us what he's made of with that R301 3X. Nice shots there from him, and now the hunt is on for the rest of Team Mike and Ike.
Yeah, Mike and Ike just trying to cut them off before they make it toward the end, and unfortunately, G7 Scout not what you want when you're seeing a Valkyrie use that skyward dive. If he had the R301, that would have been easy beamage for them, but that squad will be able to back away, and Mike and Ike, even though they've got the early 3 KP for themselves, and not going to pick up the extra 3 here, as MJ just keep an eye on the back just in case. I mean, there were a lot of teams down here on the southwest side, so I can see why he's a little bit nervous about their back, but there's going to be they'll have a second opportunity to try and chase after this squad. I'm surprised. Maybe they should have a skyward dive to try and chase after it, but
I was
not going to go for
thing.
it. Joy Blackout ends up picking up one onto Raze, and unfortunately for Team Int, this doesn't look like it's a recoverable position.
No, it doesn't, but I would have loved to see them just immediately skyward dive after that team, right? It's like, all right, we hit him for 9 damage, go, everyone go. And then they just chase right in, and then both teams end up dying. That's most likely what would have happened. But Team Tyson does end up leaving their position and getting a little aggressive. And with all things considering, since they need to pick up a large amount of points, this is the play. Not sitting back, letting the game come to you is not an option here. You have to take the game to everybody else and play hyper aggressive.
Oh my goodness, got to bail off that balloon, and now you're going to leave yourself out in the open. That's the easiest Q there for turns, as he'll be able to get that first knock, and now they should be able to find this last player in just a moment. Messiah taking that early Q now, dropping down, even though he's getting tagged up from across the ways. The angle's going to force him back just a bit, but of course he is here in just a moment. Trav will go down, Motive now down to just one player remaining, trying to make his way into Fragment East, and it looks like they should just be able to secure these 2 kills at the very least, and maybe even just camp the banners. But Team Nerf, they are running on a high. Like you said, that huge momentum shift after game number 1, that win in game number 2, a 26-27 point game. That is a huge emotional booster for them.
It really is, and you know, as another fight is taking place with Mike and Ike, and it looks like slept on. I'll finish this point in a second, as the Seer Ultimate is destroyed, and they still have one of their own, so huge advantage for Team Slept On. The Singularity is going to go down. That's a pretty decent black hole, and Mike and Ike getting dropped. But going back to, you know, momentum and things of that nature, as we hop back on with Nerf looking like they want to close in another fight. Forsey with the shots, and goodbye to whoever that was. That was just absolute decimation from Team Nerf. And you know, when you have a couple bad games, say you lose a 50-50, you lose a little bit of confidence, and you know, you don't play as fast as normal, and you can see as we switch through all of these different, you know, points of views, how much is actually happening on the map at a single time. So if you ever are second guessing yourself or not feeling like, you know, you're in the right spot at the right time, you're going to end up losing the fight more often than not. And I feel like Nerf definitely doesn't feel like they're making any mistakes, and they're going to continue to capitalize on other teams making the same mistake.
Yeah, it's round number 3 right now. We're already down to 10 squads, 22 players remaining. Team Intel down to a duo. We know there's a solo running around as well. Another solo running around somewhere in Fragment East. I mean, Nerf were on the hunt for a solo, and they ended up picking up a Seer who still had the rest of his squad alive. So there's going to be an option for them to try and find more fights, as it looks like Vizio was able to find the lone rat. Borton, with the ADS that whole time, was finally able to suss him out, take him out, taking a better look at the ring. It is going to be a very classic Climatizer circle. Basically, off the bridge, Crows is another rat here. So, yeah, a lot of teams just scrambling to try and survive at this point in the late game.
Oh, wow. Intel goes with a little bit of a composition change over here, busting out the Vantage. Icy is off of Gibby. And honestly, you know, changing your composition on the same map, never really a good sign, right? If it's kind of a sign of things aren't going well, we need to change things up, and it just got a little bit worse for Team Intel. Jet is back down on the ground, and now it's up to Icy. A lot of rats continuing to fall here.
Yep. And we are now down to 8. Team Intel out. Slept On. They have at least 6 kill points currently here in game number 3. Already hit top 8 as well, and they have the loot to finish things off strong. it is coming down to a lot of these fights. It will be basically mirror matchups, though. Save for maybe a Bloodhound here or there. But you can see that basically it is the same composition for Team Vizio, though. They've got the Loba, they've got the Valkyrie here to play off the high ground now, just gatekeeping a lot of the squads coming in. Tua from Team Motive ends up going down as Vizio. They've got to be careful. They've given up hype now, dropping down. And Born is just taking a lot of damage. It's going to be Team Nerf on the hunt for them. Here comes another nade from Turns. We'll see if this one's going to be big.
Yeah, and if you're new to watching competitive, there are no heat shields. So if you're thinking that he's running back towards the zone and he's able to toss a heat shield, well, that's not an option. Looks like the one team that could shut them down on the Nerf side is Slept On. They seem to have the momentum here in this game. 7 kills already for Karma. Big damage from him. He's almost got 2K overall. When we were on board with Psycho, he had like 5, 6, 7 assists, but he only had 300 damage. So 5 times the amount of damage from one of your teammates. That is what you love to see. Borton running on over towards the zone. Looks like it did work out just a little bit. They chased, and then all of a sudden they came back and were able to get his banner. Now, are you able to find El Moby throughout all of this? Is it inside of the crafter, or are there any death boxes around that hold one? Doesn't seem like they have one in their back pocket. Again, no heat shields allowed, but mobile respawn beacons are allowed here.
Yeah, I slept on after that really weird events that happened over at Lava Siphon. Hold on just a moment, though, as Team Tyson ends up getting a knock onto Sung. That's going to lead them down to a solo. Joey Blackout with that scan will be able to realize that one, but they're playing this one extremely safe, and that's why the third party Slept On instantly sending it on a knock here. They want to try and find a little bit more, so there might be an option for them to at least pick up one more kill point throughout all this. Joey Blackout does secure that thirst, and it looks like he even gets the last one onto Vizio, on the Blitz in there. So Slept On not able to pick up anything here. Now we are down to 5 squads remaining. We know that, there's 2 squads at least that are up as a full 3-man. And also Karma has 8 kills, so that's going to be 12 kill points right now for Slept On. If they can pick up the rest, it's almost going to be a 30-point game for them. Tyson is probably the strongest one standing in their way right now.
Karma's definitely the MVP of this game. I mean, I'm friends with Psycho, so I'm just going to call him out. 400 damage, Psycho. Come on, man. We're going to need you to at least get 500 here, as Karma's just completely popping off, but rightfully so. And the strength of the scout is really being shown over here. And everybody kind of has to have a different utility in their back pocket. You don't want to have every single person on your team have a scout, or you don't want everyone to have an R301 or a flatline. There has to be some sort of diversity in terms of each legend that you're playing, and each teammate having a different presence on the map is key. Hitting some really tough shots. The 30-30 without a scope is not easy to use. Now Tyson going to go and push in. A lot of damage onto Ack, but the armor swap is there. The heals are coming forward, and Team Tyson should be able to reset.
Yeah, so now we are down to 3 squads up as full, and then Motive, I believe, still ratting this one out as a solo right now. You can see Crows is there alive for his team. So we got Slept On, we've got Excedrin, and Team Tyson still alive. Very important game for Team Tyson, who really did need to bounce back after the first 2 games. They only had the 2 points here. Surprised no one has actually been able to spot out Crows yet. They should know that there's a rat running around here somewhere. If they have been doing the math so far throughout all of this. But you can see now we might actually get a final 6 circle, but I mean, I'm just caster cursing us at this point, as the final battle is going to be taking place on these train tracks here, where there isn't that much cover provided for you.
Yeah, this is going to be Black Hole Central, right? Teams that don't have a Watson, and doesn't look like anyone does have a Watson in this type of situation, are going to be feeling the pain. And there goes the rotation coming through. Psycho a little bit late to the party, and this is going to create a little bit of a domino effect, because Excedrin may want to send it. You also have Tyson over towards the side that may want to send it as well, but it looks like no one willing to risk it quite yet. You do have one player anchoring on over towards the backhand side. That is going to be the scout player Karma, who's been putting in some serious work. He has gold armor, so they're going to be able to heal. And also the gold knockdown coming through. Joey Blackout getting him a knock of his own with the 30-30. When you look at this mountain, Jamerson, the mountain isn't fully in, so they're going to definitely have to make a play.
Uh-oh. They're getting full sent on now, and they're going to get a little bit of revenge on the Slept On side for that knock onto Psycho. Big crack with the nade, and now Psycho wants to get on top. They're climbing on top of each other, but now things are going so south. Goat is dropped down low. They've lost out on 2. Instead of fighting back into this one, now the third party should be coming in, because Karma is the only one up. And now Team Tyson, once they clean up this, they only have 1 final player remaining. and they have no idea. Crows is right behind you. Crows is trying his best. Okay, never mind. He realizes I've already gotten top 2. This is the best I can do at this point. They should realize with that scan behind him. Crows successfully getting him squad up to top 2. That's going to be the nice 9 placement points for them. Joey Blackout, come on, man. You had a highlight reel game. You can't be missing all these PK shots. There we go. Team Tyson ends up securing the dub here in game number 3 after a much-needed change in terms of composition.
Yeah, the change of composition, but also the change of play style, because they could have easily sat in the end zone. They could have played it safe. Instead, they continued to play aggressive, find fight after fight, and pick up not only the placement points they were looking for, but the kill points. And when teams like Nerf and other squads are making their move up on the cumulative leaderboard, that 1000% was the right play.
Yeah, so congratulations. I mean, a very much needed win, and surprisingly enough, they were able to find those fights, navigate that early game. Even though we had a lot of fighting taking place on the southwest, northwest portions of the map, they were able to realize, hey, we're going to have isolated fights. These are non-third-party fights. Let's go ahead and full send. So great decision-making coming out from them. That is 3 games now done on World's Edge. We're about to make a swap, so we'll see if they want to try and stick with this composition once we go over to Storm Point.
That's true, and we know that like Watson Newcastle seems to be a vibe for them on their pro night, but I really feel like sticking with the double scan composition, sticking with Seer is going to be key. Horizon's been very useful in all of these situations, so maybe dropping the Bloodhound and going like Valk, Horizon, Seer. It just seems to be the popular pick, right? There's so much that each of those legends offer. Do you really need double scan legends? I don't necessarily think so. Excited to see what everyone brings to the table here, because we've seen Bangalores with Bloodhounds be successful. We've seen so many different compositions.
Yeah, it's what I love about this kind of like preseason, I guess, leading up to ALGS Year 3 right now. Teams are still exploring the overall meta. The huge, of course, influence coming out from the APAC teams along with EMEA once we had the LAN. So it's been a nice, interesting shift to see how kinds of teams have changed around how they view the game overall, and especially kind of pulling away from the Gibraltar meta, dome for dome, bubble for bubble, and defensive bombardment for defensive bombardment. We're not seeing that anymore. It's much more dynamic in terms of fighting.
Oh, and he actually did get a little bit of a blank shot right there when he was hitting the armor swap, so missed that one, but that was still a great kind of recovery from Team Tyson. If they lost that fight against Buff Pathfinder, they were out at 15th, 16th place with basically no points. So just hitting that 30-30 shot towards the tail end of things and making sure that you're taking that fight cleanly. That was a third-party fight. They originally started that fight, backed off, and then came back around and let the 2 teams fight, and then cleaned up 3 kill points after that. They got the res, they moved over there, and then they continued to play aggressive. So that's exactly what Tyson needed to get back on the board.
All right, we're going to go ahead and send it on over to Yesa to break down our final game of World's Edge. And then when we get back from the half, we'll be starting off on Storm Point. So don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back right after this.
I'm a big fan of the meta discussion that Jamerson really kind of is getting rolling there. It's certainly something that Tom and I have been a big fan of talking about over the last month or so, talking about how kind of wide open the meta is. There's so many different legends that are more than viable, and you can build all these different compositions kind of tailored around your team's playstyle. But I think Jamerson making a few key points there. One, yes, Gibby meta is dead. We are still going to see him here and there. He is still certainly viable. Of course, has some kind of pretty strict counters now, especially with the Maggie getting even more power. The ability to break his bubble does mean that Gibby, a little more vulnerable these days than we are used to. So we will see him cropping up here and there, but the Gibby meta is certainly dead. The one meta, though, that hasn't quite died yet, and we aren't really seeing it here tonight because the open squads so heavily favor things like the Horizon and Seer. You can ask Z Davis about that. I know he's a big fan. We'll pull up the champion squad just for y'all to take a peek at as I kind of continue talking about this. But the big thing is the Valkyrie meta has not completely died. Now, we aren't seeing it as much here tonight, but if you take notice tomorrow, and we saw it last Wednesday, there's still a lot of pro squads that still very much love to utilize the pick. It is a more vulnerable pick these days for sure. The last couple of nerfs have really made Valkyrie much more susceptible, especially in things like her ultimate, right? Much easier to attack teams mid-Valkyrie and cancel that, or at the very least make them very low on health when they finish their skyward dive and drop into a fight. But the Valkyrie's ability to still move teams around the map, give you that kind of freedom to rotate that isn't tied to bubbles and other utility, is still prevalent. The pro teams still value that very highly. So not as universal as it used to be, but is still a very prized option for a lot of teams. 13 kills here for Tyson. Big performance from them. Joey showing up with 8 of his own. Let's take a look at our Mobile One high performance moment here for game number 3 as we get ready to head over to Stormpoint. And it's the final push here. Slept On. We're frying this game, and they elect to full send onto Excedrin, but the problem is, well, they had them in a very tough spot, low health bars. They weren't able to get the definitive finish that they needed to close this fight, right? If you can wipe Excedrin quickly, it gives you the opportunity to get those armor swaps, get the quick reset for the Tyson push that you know is coming. But the problem is, even with those low health bars, Cruisin able to dance around these shots just long enough to deal damage there onto Psycho. And then Joey coming in for the assist makes it so much more difficult here for Slept On, and it means that Tyson can easily roll in, clean up Slept On, Excedrin goes down, and then all they have to do is take care of Crow to clean up the win. So this is one that Slept On are really going to kind of feel got away from them, because if they really kind of cleanly take that fight against Excedrin, they're fighting on fairly even footing there with Tyson, and who knows what happens there. But with how things went in that fight with Excedrin, they had no shot to turn it around and grab the win. So well played there from Tyson to come in and clean up and grab a win here in game number 3. Now, before we go to a break and get ready for Stormpoint, let's talk about PvE. I've told you guys about it before. It's something new we're doing at Esports Arena locations all across the country. We want to give you a new way to compete in esports. So you can go out to your local esports arena today. You can find your nearest location with exclamation point locations in Twitch chat. You can go out, purchase some tokens, use those tokens to enter in multiple different leaderboards, and then put up your best scores and you can win. We've got all different kinds of titles that we mix up every single week. Things like Halo Infinite. We'll do Apex Legends, Guilty Gear Strive, things like Super Smash Brothers Home Run Derby. All kinds of great stuff, and we're mixing it up week after week after week. But all you do, go in, purchase your tokens, put up your best scores, and you can win, because we've got thousands of dollars of prizing every single week. And you can keep track of your scores online at our 24/7 YouTube live stream and keep track on how your scores are doing. Hopefully, maybe they're a little better than Sky's there on Halo Infinite. That's okay. Maybe Big Team Battle isn't his game mode. Maybe he's more of a duos gamer. We'll find out. But go out to your local esports arena today and compete in PvE. We are going to go to a quick break right now. When we come back, though, Jamerson and T-Squared will get you ready to head over to Stormpoint.
Listen up. Esports should be for everyone. That's why Esports Arena's launched our own tournament series called Player vs. Everyone, where you get to compete at multiple different titles, multiple different locations, whenever you want. Just watch this and check it out. I believe we have the best Apex Legends PvE player. Oh, I think he's supposed to break in the record. Best Apex Legends player in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Whoa, Tyler, hold up a second. We got someone out here in Salt Lake about to smash the record. What'd I tell you? Salt Lake City every time.
PvE has something for everyone. Here in Miami, we absolutely crush it at Mario Kart. Into the final part. Oh, there we go. And that's going to be the top score for the day. See if you can beat that on the leaderboard.
The day's not over yet, Luke. Here at Esports Arena Cincinnati, we have somebody who's going to beat the Mario Kart record. So close. But the good news is you can always try again.
That's PvE in a nutshell. So find your nearest esports arena, because it could be you atop the leaderboard. See you later.
All right, welcome back to Series E. We've already gotten World's Edge out of the way. Now we are swapping on over towards Stormpoint. Before we do that, though, heading into the second half, let's check in with the Mobile One leaderboard now to see where everyone stands. Team Nerf still up there in first place with 47 points. Buff Pathfinder now breaking away just a little bit from someone Sinus. They're leading them by 1 point. And now, with Slept-On having a pretty decent game there in game number 3, they climb themselves up to 4th place.
And what you're looking at is the teams that aren't scared to take fights, right? And kind of understand the ebb and flow of how the open night's going to go. And I'm anticipating it to be the same thing on Stormpoint here, right? I mean, there's no reason that it would slow down a little bit. Yeah, the map is, not as popular as World's Edge, but I think that, teams like Tyson that made adjustments, that made their composition changes, now is the time to do that too when you had a 10-minute break and say, all right, what are we going to do here now? Let's focus on how the first 3 games went and how can we make those next 3 even better. As we take a look at the legends and the compositions that are being brought to the table, you can see Intel is actually going back to what they were previously running with Icy on Gibby. So that's pretty interesting, but still a lot of scan legends going through. A lot of Seers were in there. I saw a couple Bloodhounds as well.
Yeah, and this game, or this map in particular, just have so many rotation options that, again, right there, I expect we're going to see a lot of edge fighting, even though it can be a little bit difficult to navigate some of the areas. There are going to be a lot of fights where you're just not going to want to take because of the height differences and not really being able to challenge that, especially if maybe the zone pulls up to the north and you have to rotate up north. But we'll be joining on board with Team Tyson, our winners from game number 3 right now, as it looks like they will have command all to themselves. They have been challenged in the past I want to say for the large majority of the time we've been playing on Stormpoint, they have been challenged here at Command Center.
Yeah, right now it looks like they are going to stick with the same composition that they had previously. And it was about 37 minutes ago that Z Davis said he's never playing in a pro night again, and then he wins the next game. So, reverse psychology is the way to the key in Apex. Gotcha, Z Davis. And it's just a matter of, listen, Seer is so strong, Jamerson. We know that nerfs are going to come to him soon, right? So why not use him while he's really, really strong? Yeah, you will have to make some adjustments later on. But even then, when he does get nerfed, it's probably going to be some minor things like that will happen to Valkyrie. Valkyrie's still very viable even after minor changes.
A really unfortunate fight here for Razor, losing out on priority. There was a gold helmet and a blue helmet up there, and Bokta T wasn't able to grab either because he got challenged. Blake Yu by himself dropped down low, and it's going to be Team Int on top of them. You can see now they are ready to drop down with that knock onto Sang, and Razor are just not ready for this fight whatsoever. Razor have been completely eliminated here on the wall side.
That's just, not a good sign for Razor. They have not been on the same page today, and they haven't really played to their full potential. Razor's a much better team than what they've shown, and maybe the pressure getting to them a little bit, and it's not going to get any worse with just a couple more days and a couple more weeks to prove yourself as Stomps from Excedrin going to go and get the knock right there onto Trev Stacks and pick up the loot. Much needed loot, as you can see from the body there, but Motive is not in a good spot now. It's up to Crow, but hey, the dude ratted it out really well in the previous game, and maybe that's their strategy, okay, Jamerson? They were so impressed with how he did in game number 3 as a solo, they wanted to see him do it again.
9 points for them. Taking our first look at the ring, it is going to be pulling down towards here an antenna, but we're really looking at Vizio's position at the north side of Shipball. More often than not, this ring ends up pulling down there as Valkyrie... I'm so sorry, Shiny, that we swapped onto you at that exact moment, but they already have the advantage in this fight right now. It's a 3v2. They can go ahead and just reset for now as Laid Down Gaming. Not really going to be able to pick up their Seer quite yet. Vibration does end up hitting that bat and only hits for the 9 on that PK shot. Not the trade that you're really looking for here. They could try and go ahead and full send this one now as Wari is actually on his ones, getting full sent. There it is. The slide out. Wari. Now the only one up for Laid Down a Gaming. Valkyrie will be able to clean this one up and then start moving in.
Has to be frustrating to die to someone with the name It's Corn. It's a meme, and it has to just set in and hurt twice as much. But, There's misses, Jamerson, and then there's complete whiffs. And when we switched on over to Shinny's point of view, those were complete whiffs. We also call those warning shots here. Warm-up shots, whatever you want to call them, completely understandable. I've missed an entire clip in my PK, but overall, it's about getting the kills, and that's what they did. Someone sign us now on the verge of pushing in, and I'm pretty sure the PKs are just broken on Stormpoint at this point.
Yeah, Lox is going to try and hold this angle for now, but he does clear out that exhibit first. Not quite yet, actually. And so they do just wait out the timer on that. So now sliding in, there's a blue armor swap, so it looks like might have been able to back out, possibly with the white, and Lox is just going to go ahead and give chase. Doesn't even care. It's Vizio now on the ropes. You can see the missile swarm narrowly missing. They're trying their best to back off, but Lox should be able to finish them off. And really unfortunate, because Vizio were in a really great spot. That would have been probably game-winning for them, but Vizio, another squad that just hasn't been able to get much going at all today, but for a squad like someone sign us, they're really trying to make their name known before we hit the end of the season, before we start our qualifiers for Season 6.
Nice shots there with the flat line, not even the pay-to-win skin either, as now Mike and Ike finds themselves in a fight over towards the mill side. It looks like double sear ults are going to be going down. Mar taking a decent amount of damage. Ash being busted out here. There goes the black hole from MJ. He also has the Arc Star being tossed in there. It's going to do a little bit of damage to his own ult, but this is tough shots to hit. The Horizon going up in the air. EVA 8 is definitely going to be a little bit more in terms of getting control. The 2x, not easy from up close. And he's going for the thirst right there so he can get the armor swap. Does get the purple armor swap. Rez going in onto Karma. There go the shots coming in from behind. It's a 2v1 situation, but both players have to heal. Karma electing for the Phoenix kit. This could be an opportunity to trade reses, but MJ wants to push this one, and rightfully so. His shots have just been so clean.
Oh, he actually got the bat off, and so MJ had to commit for a few more shots there. But now it's down to a 1v1. The Phoenix kit has been finished. MJ doesn't care, though. He connects with his shots, sends him back. We'll try and hit this res. We'll see if the peak comes out. The Arc Star is there to slow things down. Now MJ will take his time to hit a bat here in this 1v1. We even try and get the res. He's going to have to be careful. It looks like the flank coming out. MJ, and he's sent from behind another Arc Star. And now they're kind of griefing each other. They're about to run out of time to hit the heals here. Either of them are going to have to hit that medkit or a syringe very shortly here, as Karma ends up getting that thirst onto Mars. Slept on. We'll go ahead and now finally take that time to hit that medkit. Either side really just kind of eating into their heals now. And I don't even know if they'll have an opportunity to try and recover these banners. You can see MJ has to finish off this fight soon. He's got another minute before those banners ends up expiring.
He's got a full med kit plus a handful of syringes. This is an epic fight. Doesn't take a lot of damage around the corner right there. And now Valkyrie's going to go and peace on out. This is so key right here in terms of you can learn so much from these players in the way that they've approached this situation. A lot of different meta plays happening inside of one. MJ doesn't have a battery, though, so he's going to go and check for the armor swap that he originally left. Doesn't even check for extra loot because he understands the timing. Now it's time to hit a med kit, and the grief just continues, Jamerson. The longer this takes, the more likely they are to be done for, but you can see what's next to them is materials and also the crafter. So if they could do this, they should be able to craft a Moby. Not even that, hit the respawn over towards the side. And here's the fight. This is for all the marbles to see who's going to take this epic one. And if MJ ends up winning this was technically a 1v3 in his favor.
Yeah, right now, though, Karma just down to syringes here. He
Big
needs
play.
He needs the win. He cracks the door, but it's closed off by that gravity lift. And he's running out of time. He's going to have to hit the syringe soon. Mike and Ike don't hit their syringe. Are there any extra heals there to keep them going? ASG now in a fight down here. By Gale Station. They've got one cornered, and it's going to be dudes going down. ASG picking up those kills as we got another fight. Young Pop-Tart picking up Trev Stack, so I don't know if they're going to have an opportunity now to try and rat things out. We'll see if Crows is still up for his squad.
Shout out to MJ, and that was just an amazing fight right there. There was so many high skill level plays there. I mean, the immediate Valkyrie missile swarm onto the door, followed by the Q, the Horizon grav lift, so we can't continue to push up. Really, the only thing that went wrong for MJ is when he was on fire, his teammates were kind of asking for reses, and it was the right play. But there was one time where he was going for the res, and then Psycho sends it onto him, and he takes 100 damage, and that kind of stopped the momentum. And when he ran out of heals, you brought it up early that was going to be the case, but Very rarely do you get a chance to see that without third parties happening, and that is what Apex is all about. Fights and moments just like that. Two really great teams duking it out.
Yeah, Team Tyson now trying to find position here at Shipfall, but they are met with a little bit of resistance here. They don't have to full commit onto this one. They have their options if they want to maybe just back around, maybe come in from the south side. Over here at Gal Station, though, Custer's already losing out on so much HP on Lone Star, and they are caught right in that huge black hole. The Ash actually saving them with that phase breach, and ASG unfortunately not able to find the knocks quite yet, but there it is. Lone Star Void finally falling here. Bronzy picking that one up, and it's just a matter of time. One more knocking onto ASVP, and there's only one player remaining for them. So ASG now on the hunt for one last kill here, and then they'll clear out Shipfall. Now here in round number 2, before the zone starts closing, we have to mention it, it is down to 14 squads, 40 players remaining. So yeah, the pace of the game just not slowing down at all whatsoever here on Storm Point.
Bronzy was sneezing on that player for the final kill, but you're like, yeah, the Ash saves him with the phrase, nope, save yourself, Jamerson. Save yourself. The teammates didn't get the memo, okay? I don't think they all know that they could take that portal and be safe. It definitely would have been the play. Also, when your teammates don't shoot the black hole and it sits there for that long and all 3 of you are stuck there, your team's got a problem. So next time they need to get rid of that one ASAP and make a play. But that's what great Horizon players do, and that's why Horizon is so annoying to deal with. They put you in that situation. That was a perfect ultimate. There's not really much that you could do once that starts coming in besides hit that phase breach, and unfortunately they were a little bit too split, and that's again the power of the black hole. Even if it doesn't suck everybody in, you could still use it as an AoE to separate the enemy team.
Yeah, when it comes to those fights around the fence lines, it's just absolutely absurd how strong it is. Team Intel trying to take a fight over here so no they cave, but right now they're just not getting the better of these exchanges. Both Jet and Icy forced to hit up the bats right now as the Q is used to cancel out Icy's battery, so they're going to just have to spend another second here to heal that one up. But ASG now taking the fight over here at Gale Station. They've already gotten one knock, about to get a little bit more here. SRC have gone down.
The EVA 8 is just so strong. You can see how much damage it was able to do in such a short amount of time, even after maybe missing a shot or two. Connecting for, you know, multiple hits over 40 is what you love to see, and the rate of fire just absolutely insane. But you mentioned something that is a little bit uncommon. You know, Icy was getting out traded while he's on Gibby, and that's, you know, one of the powers of Gibby is getting that extra arm shield, and it doesn't seem like they were able to, you know, get the damage as they were hoping for. And then you can also see why Gibby falls off a little bit in Storm Point is there's just a lot of cover, right? There's a lot of trees, there's a lot of rocks and, you know, caves and places to hide away from the defensive bombardment, and that's why you don't see as many Gibbies. And, you know, not only that, but the dome really isn't as needed as much because there is so much cover. So we'll see what they're going to be able to do. Rooting for Team Intel and hope that they're going to be able to get something going, but they have not been able to pick up the momentum like teams like Nerf have, and I'm excited to see which teams are going to pick it up here. In terms of the partner teams, if you're just joining us, Tyson and Nerf have been able to pick up 2 wins, but really it's been a lot of our open teams that have been impressive.
Yeah, for Buff Pathfinder, also another impressive squad so far. Save for that one embarrassing moment in game number 1 where Zeniles was putting them through their paces in the 1v3. They did a pretty good job in that game overall, getting a top 3 finish, but now they do have a fight here at Jurassic Park, it looks like. Gotta be a bit careful. The shields have been expended. They should be able to get a little bit more off of this. You can see them now trying to find the angles on this player, but that exhibit is keeping them at bay for the time being. There's another minute before they have to start moving in, and so they don't have to full send it onto this squad. Actually, it looks like the third party comes out as Excedrin ends up getting one more, and it's going to be just, yeah, not saying that name. Not saying that name. I can't even read that name. Their only lone Newcastle player remaining here of Pathfinder, just unfortunately not able to pick up all the kills here. Excedrin were able to get the long range snipe onto one at the very least. But now with 30 seconds left to go, they have to start making their way on in. They have to start worrying about that rotation now south to Shipfall.
Do you have something against Galactic Samurais? I mean, like, samurais that wear spacesuits? It's really common, Jamerson. It's a new thing. It's probably something from an anime, if I had to be honest with you.
Right now, slept on, keeping their momentum up from that last game. You know, like you said, there was an opportunity for them to get that win, but that full send that was not clean for that push. ASG clearing out that singularity extremely quickly, trading 1 for 1 now as ASG will go ahead and push forward. Raze has fallen, and this is why you had to have that timing on that rotate. Otherwise, you end up going down like this. ASG picks up another team fight win. Buff Pathfinder now trying to make their way into Antenna here, meeting some resistance. Bursty is up forward for his squad. They got the double scans, making it easier to clear out all these angles as they approach.
The question is whose black hole was it anyway? You know, it's like you saw 2 go down and you really don't know which one was which. Intel, they're trying to put some serious damage down, but they want to get outside of the Seer ultimate. Big fan of this play. Regroup inside. You have the Lobo ultimate if you need to drop some armor swaps in. Let this kind of wear down, and then you can attack the situation. Also being aware of potential third parties that are coming in because you know that the zone's pulling over here. Really smart play from Intel. Rambo is going to push up a little bit and show on the ultimate, but just to kind of grief the doors and make sure no one's pushing them.
And we're going to find out if it does end up pulling down towards Shipfall. Very rarely do I actually see it ending here, and yep, that's why. It's going to be that hard pull once again, that northern part of Shipfall. There's going to be a lot of fences there, so that means these horizons are going to be incredibly strong. We have about 4 teams stacked on top of each other right now as Buff Pathfinder actually sending it onto Excedrin. They might have already gotten a knock here, but you can see Intel trying to get involved, third party, long range. Nerf biding their time as well. Buff Pathfinder on the outside, Boffy by himself taken down low, and that bat is canceled. Excedrin have been able to recover. Cruisin is back up. Now they've got the 3v2 slide out onto the squad in just a moment.
Nice shot there from Stomps. There goes the res. The zone does a ton of damage, so he's got to be super careful. Getting Kodagami back up, and the Q just in time, and they're not able to cancel that res. Really nice job from Excedrin, and the timing was on point. But right now, Cruisin's kind of separated himself from his team, so he's got to be a little bit careful because his team can't afford to go into the zone without healing. So they're going to have to back off just a little bit. Slept on now making their move. The shot's coming down with the scout, and that's all she wrote for Team Valkyrie. You could see the battery not going to connect, so he's going to go for the armor swap instead, which could trick the enemy team into pushing a little bit too hard. Speaking of pushing, Nerf now making their move onto Tyson.
Yeah, they're actually utilizing these Watson fences that were put down by the other squad. As Tyson backs away, Archstar will go ahead and disconnect and disjoint the squads here as Nerf still needs to heal up, but it looks like they've got the advantage. And that one knock at least Bronzy does, and there it is. Team Nerf knocking out Team Tyson with the help of Bronzy, but here comes the full send now. Excedrin making the push out. The Gibraltar Dome being played around currently. It's making it a little bit difficult for them. Kodagami and Cruisin drop down low. Cruisin's going to try and hit this bat for himself, but Stomps goes for that melee, and during that time, he just gets peaked by 2. Now down to just Cruisin by himself. You can see if he can pick up a little bit more. It's down to the 1v1. Cruisin versus Rambo, and Rambo clutch it up for his squad. Well, either way, both teams are just going to be down to a solo at this point because the zone is closing in on them.
Exactly, and we've already seen the zone already grief one team. That was Team Mike and Ike. Rambo feeling the brunt end of that one, and this zone absolutely ticks. You can see just in 1 second losing half of his health. That's going to be Excedrin getting the better of that fight, but losing out on 2 players to the zone as that one closes. And Nerf, the rich get richer here. They had a phenomenal showing on World's Edge. Now they're looking really strong here in Stormpoint. Not nearly as many kills as they were hoping for, but they're still going to take this position.
Yeah, they at least hit top 6. Another 1 kill right here onto this rat. Get them top 5. That's going to be another 4 kill points to their name. If they don't have trouble dealing with the gravity lift there, Turns will go ahead and finish off Cruisin'. So that'll be top 5 for them. ASG, though, in one of the best spots right now. You can see a nice little crossfire spread out. They do still have a lot of the slow side of the zone here in the southeast to play off of. There's a team inside. Someone's Sinus playing inside one of the buildings currently, but this is going to be a very classic circle where it pulls away toward that fence line. Team Nerf, though, are trying to get aggressive, but they might get punished for it. A lot of nades still available in these fights.
And it's been the teams consistently, that we've seen at the top of our leaderboard still here too. And they're going to continue to add more points on, but this is because they've been really strong in their team fighting abilities, and that's what today's been all about as we see zone number 5 30 seconds away from closing. There's a Seer ultimate directly in the middle over here, and if you don't have red armor at this point, you are going to definitely take a decent amount of damage. Someone Sinus is now pushing in. Karma gets the first knock. It's going to get answered right back onto Psycho, so a 2-on-2 situation, but there's a bunch of teams waiting in the wings to collapse on this.
grav lift just to cut off that stairwell, but ultimately they're okay with this one because they can slow heal off of the Watson generator here, and Psycho will end up getting thirsted off. Slept on, gonna try and find an angle, but they have been spotted out instantly.
Wow.
What? Karma just absolutely melted them. Someone Sinus. Karma just laid waste to them. What an amazing spray with that car. Now ASG just looking on from the outside, looking to gatekeep here. You can see Nerf now getting the brunt of their attention. Messiah might actually fall down here, playing off that fence line, trying to get behind some cover, and he somehow survives for the time being.
See you later. That's all I gotta say, man. That was just ridiculous tracking with the car there, and Karma really making a name for himself today. One of our, open teams that have been rank grinders for quite some time, coming in here and potentially, gonna look for a spot in Series E. I was talking to Psycho about what his team's plans are, and they want to get involved in Series E. They're gonna be going for the next tryout, so we'll see if they can end up a partner team. And if they continue to play like this, I could see them being in the next season of it. That's for sure, especially with plays like that coming in from Karma. But look at this right here, Zanile. You talked about the game 1 grief. Well, he's griefing the entire lobby here in game number 4.
Bursty looking for anything here at this point, but he's getting chased down now by the rest of those members there. Just coming down to the final 3v3. ASG versus Slept On. It's going to be full red armors as well. Going to have to swap off of that G7 Scout at this point. He needs to find something else to try and fight off. As you can see, Slept On are utilizing that Watson generator that was there, but Karma's going to now have to heal this one up. Nice damage out from Psycho. He's got that flatline car back pocket here. Trading weight damage either side. Just going to go ahead and heal up and reset for this one. We actually will hit zone number 6, finally closing here, Tom, after 4 games.
Don't jinx it quite yet. There's 4 seconds left, Jamerson, so you never know what these guys are up to, all right? We could just start seeing Goat flying in with a black hole. One player's going to overextend just a little bit. Zanale's going to lay some damage down, but it gets answered right back, and you can see just the baiting and switching going on between these two teams, and Bronzy's so close to be able to pick off Goat. The high ground is looking useful, but this head glitch that Bronzy has and the ability to connect on the shots is huge. They're running a little bit low on batteries. Bronzy needs to grab one from Crook possibly, and the ammo situation is tough and not coming in from both sides, but ASG is going to walk away with the dub. 2 really strong open teams fighting it out, and our lobby is stacked tonight.
That was beautiful because Zaniles is up top and he baits all 3 members up there and he's able to get out. He did it again. He's the magician. Now you see me, now you don't. He's out of there, right? And so once he baits them all up and they try to full 3-man swing on him, they're left on the roof by themselves. They don't have any cover to work with. You can see how at the end there they were able to kind of split up, set up the crossfire, and find the angles onto them, keeping them contained off of that basically one small little bit of coverage there. And once the trade came out, you saw that, the Horizon Q come out. You have the beautiful angle. You're able to get on top of them, finish them off. So great team fight win at the end there. This was such a treat to watch. So much fighting taking place here on our first game of Stormpoint.
Yeah, and someone's got to initiate, right? Someone's got to open things up. Otherwise, it's just going to end up being a standoff. And a lot of times, you get put in these situations where, as we take a look at some of the highlights from this game, and there was a lot of them, especially just in this fight alone, as you saw this amazing fight between MJ and Karma take place. But all ASG took this one. But going back to that point of how you kind of take these fights, you'll notice that there's a lot of different options, right? You can all 3 mob together. One person can kind of push up, or 2 people can push up, and then one person anchors. And you got to be careful that you don't get sent on if you're that solo, right? A lot of times, that's why we talk about the black hole and how that could kind of separate your team, et cetera, et cetera. But in a situation like that, you hit the nail on the head. Someone has to go and open it up. Someone has to distract. Not only that, distract and not get knocked, so then someone else follows up and anchors the back line. And that was such great execution from them. And Bronzy, with his ability to hit his shots on that head glitch, everything was perfect there for ASG in the way that they wanted to take that fight. And it was hard to see even who had the advantage based on the positioning. It was kind of fairly even amongst both sides. You would like to think that, maybe slept on because they have the ultimate high ground, but if you're able to watch these pro players play, or in these open teams, a lot of pro players inside of our open teams too, they're always taking head glitches. You don't want to just be out in the middle of the open, your entire body exposed and shooting away. You have to find little parts of the map that you can go and exploit, and that's exactly what Bronzy was able to do.
All right, let's go ahead and send it on over to Yesa to break down our first game of Stormpoint. Game number 4. We've got 2 left after this.
What an impeccably played final fight there from ASG to grab the win here in game number 4. And I couldn't agree with Tom more. The stacked lobby here tonight, even with names that maybe we haven't seen before or open squads that we've gotten a couple of peeks at so far this season. A lot of teams playing really well and showing their stuff here today. And we're getting a good mix of victors and teams in these late circles, and it's been a lot of fun to watch. Let's take a look, though, at ASG, our champion squad in this one, and Zenile, man, 10 kills there. Both Bronzy and Crook up over 2,000 damage on the game. They pick up a whopping 19 kills on the game. That is a 31-point performance, a third of the lobby falling at the hands of ASG. You could put together a highlight reel for tonight just around ASG, and it would look absolutely incredible. And they were popping off in this game, and it definitely shows in the stats there. And a very interestingly played final fight, and it may be our Mobile One high performance moment here. So let's take a look for game number 4, and it is going to be this final fight. It's so rare at higher levels of Apex that you see teams able to take late fights like these kind of split like this, because you just know players are so talented, and getting separated from your squad and taking those odd number fights is so risky. But the confidence that ASG plays with, each player kind of occupying a different angle in this fight, and the fact that they can clean it up so well. And Tom made a good point of pointing out the head glitch that Bronzy's able to use, playing around that angle from the roof. But Zenile just able to get up, be a threat, drop down, heal back up, get right back up to the high ground. To continue to apply pressure here to Slepton just means that they're fighting on so many different fronts at all times, that even with Crook going down here, they've broken the shields on multiple, and it's an easy pickup for Zen to get back up to the high ground and clean up the fight. So that's just impeccably played there by ASG. Again, pushing on multiple fronts, applying so much pressure that even when Slepton is saying, hey, you know, we've got one player separated from the team, they're so on the back foot that they can't, you know, try and press forward, take down that player, and roll through the rest of the squad. So well played there, ASG. Certainly going to be looking to threaten the top of the table, because Nerf was at first place. They had a 10-point lead going into game 4. How will things shift on our Mobile One leaderboard? We'll find out when we come back.
Tyson boneless buffalo bites have that tasty kick of flavor, so they're perfect for any get-together. If there are any left when your guests arrive. Tyson Anytizers Chicken. More kicks of flavor, more smiling snackers, more to love. Tyson.
I'm fading!
One bad headache can crash your entire game.
Excedrin relieves headaches fast.
Excedrin, game over for headaches.
For nothing, baby. Let's get in there.
All right, welcome back to Series Z. We're about to head into game number 2 of Stormpoint, our 5th game overall. But let's go ahead and check in with the Mobile 1 leaderboard to see where everyone stands. And it's going to be ASG tying things up with Team Nerf. We have so many squads here in the top 5 that can honestly take the win at the end of the day.
Yeah, and it's really fun to watch these teams perform at such a high level, right? We knew that ASG was going to come through swinging. We mentioned Slept On before, Buff Pathfinder, Someone Sign Us. These are teams that have popped up consistently throughout Series Z, and you just have a feeling, you know, for these teams on the right-hand side, the pressure is going to continue to get to them a little bit, and it's like they're playing for a lot because they want to make it into Series Z, and that can make you play a little bit tighter. And if I have any advice for them for the final 2 games, it would just to play a little bit looser, play a little bit freer, take a little bit more risks. And if it doesn't work out, well, you know, today hasn't been your day already. So really, you just got to let it fly, and you got to see if you can get a big game under your belt here, because if you could just get one big game under your belt, you know, whether it's the open day or the pro night, that's going to give you that confidence that you need. And sometimes it may not even be a full game. It could just be a fight like we saw with that 2v3 early on with Nerf that gets you going, and then you build off of that. But if you're playing tight and you're just going for these placement points, or you're not taking enough fights, that opportunity is never going to come. So I feel like, you know, teams like Vizio, teams like Razor, they just need to play a little bit looser, play a little bit more aggressive, and see what happens.
Here we go. Heading into game number 5 of the day, and we'll be joining on board with ASG in just a moment. Our winners from game number 4, and it was a big one for them. I mean, they've picked up a lot of kills as well. We saw them down there at Gale Station time and again, multiple squads showing up, and they were able to pick that up. And honestly, it was just off of some amazing play coming out from Zaniles. He was doing an amazing job. We don't get to talk about this often, but you know, we don't see Wraith as often anymore. We got to see Wraith a little bit earlier today, but that's basically the role that you were talking about before, right, Tom? Like, you're the front line, you bait out the squads, you do damage, you hit that Q, and you're out. And we haven't had that in a really long time.
Exactly. And that's, you know, if Sanile is doing it in a 1 versus 3, imagine what happens when he has his teammates, right? And he started off the day really, really hot. And there's been, you know, opportunities for every single member on this team to kind of showcase what they're made of. There was times where Bronzy needed to win his 1s against Light Star Joe, and he was able to do it. Granted, he had an armor advantage and a Mastiff, but at the same time, those are things that you want to see happen, right? He got the advantage for a reason. There's a reason why he had red armor. He was laying down more damage throughout the game, and that's the reward system that Apex grants you. Now we'll see what Excedrin's able to do over here with their 50-50, using the plant as a little bit of a, you know, area for cover, and then the head glitch there. But again, the scout without a scope, not an ideal situation. So they're going to back off, reset, and then take this fight here very shortly.
Yeah, that's Motive on the other side that are contesting them there at checkpoint, and we'll also have to be worried about possibly third party coming out from that Mike and Ike squad. For Team Tyson, though, they didn't get challenged in game number, or in our first game here, but now they are at command, and they've already got the advantage. Z Davis does have to be careful, throwing out that Q, getting flanked from the left-hand side, but we've got Joey Black out there covering that angle for him. Beautiful coverage out now. Joey Blackout will go ahead and finish them off with that last EVA 8-shot. Custers are out. Now we're already down to our 19 squads.
Yeah, this is going to be still fast-paced going forward. Teams over towards the southern side, though, they're going to be the ones looking to kind of do the gatekeeping. And, you know, I want to see teams like Intel kind of play around with that. And with Nerf getting the inside of the zone, that's one of the teams to watch out for, right? Are they going to sit back, or are they going to kind of fly around and look for kills along the way? You could see already where a majority of these kills are going to come from, right? Right on the edge of that western side, right over towards the southern side, maybe between Launchpad and Antenna is where everyone's going to meet up.
For Nerf, we'll see if they can maybe try and rotate around to the northeast side, find some fights. You know they are looking forward. Excedrin, though, up against Motive. This 50-50, a little bit delayed, but they are now ready for it. Motive having the advantage. They've even got the armor advantage. Double purples here as they're trying to chase after that. Gravity lift has already been used as they try and back away. Crows uses one of his own and gets the beamage down. Stomps will fall. It's now down to a 3v2. They've got the easy advantage. Kodagami will go down, only leaving one remaining for Excedrin here. Very unfortunate, losing out on this 50-50 to climb up the challenge, but he will go down. Kodagami out. Now Motive ends up winning this one out. They should have triple purples across the way for this game, and this is going to be massive for Team Motive.
Yeah, it's massive, and this is what the Open Night's all about, is these players and these teams making a name for themselves. Excedrin is not even close to a pushover. If I'm not mistaken, they were #1 in our overall leaderboard, so in our cumulative leaderboard throughout all of Season 5. So that's a team that absolutely knows how to play, and that is an Open team making it almost look kind of easy, Jamerson. I don't want to, put down Team Excedrin. They've been playing so hard, but you just expect them to take that fight and at least get a knock or something. So that just goes to show you this team is no joke, and we haven't really had an opportunity to cast their games. And as soon as we saw the lobbies tonight, we were saying, man, this is stacked, but it's really lived up to the hype.
Yeah, for Team Nerf, they did actually end up holding on to their position here at Stormcatcher now, not moving too far off. They do have a team just to their north right now, and this is difficult because it's hard to try and close that distance between them unless you're just trying full send on this gravity cannon. This can be a little bit scary, though. It's Team Intel they have in their sights right now, and it's that gravity cannon is used now just to actually keep them contained. Full Squad is here to cut them off as Jet has been cracked, taking time to heal up. Icy once again just not able to get anything going with the 30-30, and I don't think you can really go for the 30-30 in this kind of meta right now, especially on this Open Night where the action is so fast.
Yeah, it's definitely been one of the most fast-paced nights that we've ever seen in Series E. Been an absolute blast to cast the games. Hopefully you guys are enjoying them, watching them for wherever you are. As Turns is laying down the turbocharged Havoc. He loves this weapon overall, and the 2X is serious in terms of being able to track these people from medium range. But they aren't going to, bite off more than they can chew, right? There's going to be multiple teams in the vicinity. So getting that knock, they're hoping another team ends up thirsting that one, and then maybe they'll take that 3v3. And while that happens, Intel's praying that they could double back for this banner or maybe even get the res. But it looks like Vizio is going to back off as well. Pretty smart plays, but also a little bit passive. And as we were talking about how aggressive the Knight's been, you can see they're not going through with, blind aggression. It's definitely calculated.
Yeah, you can't just full send, right? You still have to kind of think about this a little bit. Someone signed us, though, in a very difficult spot. They've got Razor above them, and they're playing at about 100 HP disadvantage, I believe, or it might be around 75, and they only have one avenue of approach here. You can see Blakey was just covering it down. Sang has even swapped off, and so they have gone off that Loba. They're going full send. Pathfinder he doesn't really have much to offer, but I still love him. He's still my boy. So I'm glad that Razor are picking him up, even though, yeah, it's rough being a Pathfinder main.
It really is. Sometimes you got to make some changes, and we'll see if this ends up working out. And Pathfinder is definitely one of the more fun legends to play. But I would say is a viable legend in certain situations, right? I mean, obviously, he used to be the only scan legend that could hit the beacon, and it's just really tough to see, all right, this legend can hit the beacon, this legend can hit the beacon. Oh, guess what? Another legend can hit the beacon as someone Sinus getting eliminated, and Razor playing a little bit aggressive. And this is exactly what we were talking about. Razor is a very talented team. I love that they're taking some early fights, and it's actually going their way as Messiah from Team Nerf is going to continue what they started onto Team Intel, and ASG is going to hunt down another squad as well.
Yeah, ASG continuing off that momentum from game number 4 right now. Donks will go down. I believe there's only one player remaining here, but that is a very necessary swap off for Razor. Again, we are coming down to the wire. This is the final month of Series E. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks of play remaining here. We're down to, 7 days after tonight. So you're running out of time. You need to start picking up the points, especially if you don't want to get relegated. Again, just ending the season on a high note where you're in the top 3, you don't have to worry about relegations. It feels absolutely fantastic. For Team Intel, though, in a tough spot, Jet will go down. That's going to be Buff Pathfinder cleaning them up once again over here at Tripball.
Buff Pathfinder's been playing out of their minds today, and also you love when you find a free black market along the way. I think Team Intel left that there and didn't close that one out, so Team Nerf is going to be able to take advantage of that one as ASG gets their cleanup onto the dudes, and they're looking for some more blood over here. But again, very fast-paced. 7 squads already eliminated. Razor now looking like they want to get aggressive over towards the side. Maybe they're going to be able to find a Bloodhound scan here very shortly. Not quite sure if Blakey has his Beast of the Hunt ready, but they're taking a lot of damage over towards the side, and the wingman shots aren't connecting as they were hoping for. And without having any batteries on Boxa T, it makes it so tough to go and fight. And this is the last team that you were hoping to run into, teams with players with already with red armor, and now they're going to continue to push on to Team Razor.
Oh man, Bronzy is just absolutely insane as he continues to push forward. We'll see if they can finish off the rest of Team Razor here in just a moment. ASG tied currently for first place, and so they are trying to keep pace with everyone else. If they see kills, they know that other squads are picking them up, and so if they want to try and fight for that lead and keep that lead up, they need to keep pace with it. Slept on as well, another one of our top 5 squads fighting another fight. Turfs will go down. Really, almost no opposition actually put up here for Slept on here, and they're easily going to be able to clean that one up, and they leave themselves plenty of time to rotate on in. This ring is continuing to pull up towards the northeast side. Mike and Ike are set up in that Thunderwatch area for that one. They do have that high ground at least, and they're controlling the gravity cannon, but it's SRC that might actually be in one of the best spots over by those drop ships, the circle buildings essentially there. This ring can pull up there, and I think SRC are in prime position for that ring.
Also love seeing the gold hemlock. I wonder how much damage MJ is going to be able to put down with that one. And a lot of people kind of feel like the hemlock isn't that strong or viable, but the gold one especially is, and it can do some serious damage. Now, it's definitely going to be more viable than the Mozambique, that's for sure, as we see what they're up to. It's going to be a team on the high ground getting outside of the Seer ultimate, and Mar needs to make the decision. Are they going to Ash Portal up over towards the top? Seems like now would be the perfect time. Instead, it's just going to be the MJ Grav Lift, and there's the Hemlock we were talking about. It's not the close range strength that I was talking about, Jamerson, but that'll do.
Yeah, Z Davis ends up actually stealing away that last kill from Mike and Ike. Fortunately, he's on that high ground angle just off to the side, and so Mike and Ike are at least aware of that. Vizio coming in from behind, as you gotta be careful. Again, trying to climb up here can be incredibly difficult, but they've just kind of been lurking underneath Thunderwatch this entire time, trying to find an opening, but there have been no trades whatsoever. We're down to 11 squads here, 31 players left, so it looks like there's a rat running around somewhere trying their best to survive. Round 2 is finishing closing. Team Nerf find their next target, though. They do have the singularity coming in, and Messiah barely makes it out with that gravity lift. Turns, falls throughout all of this, but it's a 1-for-1 exchange, as now Slept On coming in for the third party, and very unfortunate timing for them taking this fight right now. ASG, will see if they have a little bit more left in their tank to try and finish things off. Slept On, though, this is massive for them if they can clean out the rest of these squads.
Yeah, Slept On has been playing so aggressive, and it's been really awesome to watch each player really take their turn stepping it up. Karma's definitely popped off in the damage category, but every single player really following suit, and you can see what they're doing with the baiting and switching coming through. Karma coming in with that Volt. The control has been on point. The slide down perfectly done with the rest of his teammates in unison. Motivate goes out inside of top 10. ASG now looking for a potential third party, and now you can see the Seer ultimate is going down. Everyone's going to skedaddle on out of there, but Bronzy taking over this high ground. If he can lay down some big shots, that's going to be over. Meanwhile, Mike and I getting some knocks onto Vizio, and here comes the push. ASG should be able to have them eliminated here very shortly. That's going to be Goat going down first, but that initial damage from Bronzy was huge.
Yeah, this is massive too. If ASG knocked them out, there's almost no world in game number 5 or game number 6, excuse me, where Slept On can fight for top 2. ASG, they need to finish the job here. They've got a minute to do it. At least secure the thirst and make sure they can't pick up the bodies. That's going to be Psycho and Goat getting thirsted off there. And so if they're aware of this, you know, they can try and gatekeep for a while. They have plenty of time. Again, another minute to work with at this point with the zone closing in. And they have all the heals to pick up from here. So if they want to try and play off the zone, they can. Right
Razor's
now, though,
back.
Razor trying their best to survive. But they have a long way to go, Tom.
They really do, but they have the gold armor. So they could swap off the gold armors and end up hitting syringes over here. But it looks like they're potentially giving up on this one. I'm not quite sure if they're going to go. Okay, he's just waiting, I guess. I don't know what that was. A little dance for us. It's very much appreciated, but it's time to get into the zone, fellas. I don't know if I'd be waiting for my teammates at that point.
They still have to make it all the way up to Stormcatcher, and we know that there are plenty of squads over there by Thunderwatch. Zone 3 is about to close in, so I honestly don't know if they have enough heals to actually make it in at this point, because they have to continually running it in. Even if they have like an additional, like, you know, 2 stacks of syringes, it's going to be extremely tight for them. But we'll see. It looks like they are actually safe for now here at Stormcatcher. They've even got the replicator to play off of. They actually spotted out one going for that skyward dive. I'm wondering if that's a rat going in solo. Looks like there's only one trail there, so it might just be Team Razor, though. You got to start moving in. You can't worry about Karma, who has been able to survive for his squad. But now he's about to get sandwiched. Vizio and Razor coming up behind them. Actually, ASG about to full send it onto him.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of teams over here, and I believe we do have it set up so they can't see exactly who they are killing. They won't know until the actual team is eliminated, so they're just doing that, you know, in spite of whoever this third player is, not even knowing that it's against one of their top competitors in terms of being able to take points away from Slept On. Now Mike and Ike over towards the high ground. Looks like MJ has bailed on the gold hemlock, so just throw away everything I previously said.
It's been hard. Like, there was once a time where hemlock was absolutely busted, but a small nerf and people just stopped using it. For Mike and Ike right now, they're trying to control that Thunderwatch top, but you can see that ring pull away. SRC were already set up for that late game. And SRC, to their credit, have been doing a great job of being able to call the zones and getting late game. The unfortunate part is that there's no fighting taking place there. So they don't get any kill points at all. And if they end up getting a win or like even a top 2 finish, it's like a +2 along with that. So it's great to see them kind of, you know, still playing fundamentals and trying to play for that zone and play that style, but they're not getting as rewarded for it. Mike and Ike are getting aggressive. They got the first knock. Actually, Z Davis once again with that charge rifle, but Bronzy ends up taking out one. We'll see if there's got a little bit more. Mike and Ike have to be careful, but ASG have been eliminated as Razor now are going to go ahead and full send it in. They're using the Pathfinder ultimate. It's actually kind of useful here at this point. Sane getting that first big chunk out with that PK, but he has been cracked himself and he will go down. Mike and Ike fighting back into this one. You can see this whole time, though, they're getting hit by that charge rifle from Tyson the entire time. MJ will be able to clutch this one up, but they need to get Mar back into this game.
I don't know what to say about that. I mean, that was just unlucky. Razor's coming through. It looks like they're about to make this comeback. Like the Pathfinder zip lines there. We feel like all positive for Razor, and then it couldn't have went any worse, honestly. They got one kill and got eliminated, and all of the hopes and dreams in game number 5 for Razor come crashing down by a griefing charge rifle player in the back. So that's just how the cookies are going to crumble here for Razor today. Maybe they can bounce back in game number 6, but that was definitely a tough one to swallow because they worked so hard on trying to bring that one back, and we know that they desperately need these points. So we'll hop on board with Team Tyson, and it's rightfully so. Z Davis, the griefer of the lobby right now with the charge rifle.
Got like 3 stacks of sniper rifle ammo as well, so he his sole goal was just to absolutely punish people left and right. Taking a look at the positions, though, we have Buff Pathfinder not too far off from Team Tyson here on the north side, so both those teams are pretty clear. This ring will probably pull towards that center circle building, though. Mike and Ike currently as a duo, though, meeting a lot of resistance here on the south side. Fortunately for them, that's going to be a Watson, so it's going to be difficult to try and find an opening with some nades here. That interception pylon actually putting in a lot of work right now, but the trades, Saws needs to get a little bit more off. Nice Syracuse connects on the last 2 members. They don't actually get that last knock quite yet, but there it is, MJ down, and now they'll finish off Mike and Ike, but Valkyrie need to recover here and then push up. You can see Borden still alive for his squad, and he is one of the rats actually in the lobby here. I'm trying to figure out who the other one is in this game.
I actually just tweeted Z Davis that he's playing Seer and using a charge rifle. Can't wait to see him respond.
It's just full gremlin hours.
He's one of my former teammates, so I feel like I'm able to hop in there and joke with him a little bit. But this is that moment where resources you can see are running a little bit slim, right? After he uses these cells, you have 1 bat left, 2 cells. So this is not a good situation to be in. Borton definitely not in a good situation either. You can see Valkyrie is on his case. They're a little bit scared to push into the Seer ultimate. I'm curious if Korn understands that this is just a solo. This could be an easy push for them.
They should know, because they're at least within range of like most of the covered areas for that Seer heartbeat sensor. But the issue is, yeah, take a look at the position coming out from SRC, coming out from Pathfinder right now. They have clear angles onto them, and unfortunately now Born, he's going to be forced out from the zone. It's 10 seconds before it starts closing in. Valkyrie, they're putting a lot of attention on this one solo ret when they really have to deal with SRC, but Shiny's going to go ahead and full send it. Misses his first PK shot. Next one connects for 58, and unfortunately for Born, no more heals left, and Shiny will go ahead and chase down, drop down, get that kill, and now he might have left himself in a really tough spot. No coverage to work with whatsoever. It all comes down to movement here, and also hoping that your opponents miss their shots, and he does survive. There's a small little fence line to play off of here for SRC, though. It's been a slow game for them. They got here early on, and they don't really have the sight lines to try and punish and steal away any kills. We do have a singularity coming in for Buff Pathfinder, but can they go ahead and full send it? They're going to leave themselves vulnerable to a third party if they do, and you can see instantly the worry is there. They cannot do anything about it because of teams like SRC, teams like Tyson now pushing out. They should find the last rat. Slept On will go down, but importantly, Slept On out-survived ASG.
Now it looks like Team Tyson's going to follow things up, and they have a major spot to go and hold with the capsule building, and there's going to be another team existing with them. So Joey needs to hit his scans while this Beast of the Hunt is going down, and that's going to be Primal coexisting with them. So this is a tough spot to be in for the teams that are coexisting, but they do have the cover when it comes to having the zone closest to them. So it's going to be really fun to see where all of these squads are in terms of how they want to play this one. Great shots there from Truth. If we could get a flying camera to kind of show us the map around here and the angles, that'd be absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, so we've got SRC, we've got Tyson, we've got a Valkyrie, and Buff Pathfinder, but this circle is basically ending right on the top. We're actually getting a full late game. Full squads, and Zone 6 is closing in here. But importantly, it's Valkyrie versus Buff Pathfinder here on the outside, because both of them do not have the priority on this zone close. They're both going to be forced out before the ship teams have to even move, and this entire time they have to be worried about a peek out from either of those squads that can punish them.
I've scarily realized what my powers are right now, Jamerson. I could literally say anything, and I feel like the production crew is gonna. I'll be like, "Can we just throw to a Tyson commercial?" And then we get Team Tyson commercial. But great job by the guys behind the scenes showing that one, so we could get an opportunity to see what happens with these teams on the outskirts, because it's gonna be so tough for them to make their way in.
Yeah, they're just waiting, hoping that the other squad has to push out first. We do have a grab lift to try and get underneath the ship, and now Valkyrie are in a tough spot. All three squads are basically stacked on top of each other here, but there shouldn't be a fight taking place. Never mind. Here's Tyson going for the push out. Even though they were inside the building, it might have been a little bit of a throw. It's a 1-for-1 exchange as Buff Pathfinder loses out on one more. Young Pop-Tart trying his best to survive, has a quick armor swap. Korn goes for the peak here. Hits for 77. Is the 1-0 what? And Buff Pathfinder ends up going down. Valkyrie gets a free push in because of Tyson pushing out from that building. It's now come down to our final two teams. SRC versus Valkyrie right below here, and now they've got, you know, the armor swaps down below, but you can see that Newcastle wall being set up for that angle, the flank out from DD Truth here. They don't get the knock quite yet, and he ends up going down first. Big connect out, but it's going to be an exchange now as Primal. It's all up to Spades here. He's getting peeked from multiple angles. He does throw down that shield. He's trying his best to play around it, goes for that peek around, and now he's going to be able to clutch up. SRC Primal play for the late game, play for zone, and end up getting the win.
What an ending right there. I mean, that's not what I thought was going to happen with the two teams inside of the building. I thought that they basically swapped positions, Jamerson, with the two teams on the outside. So a little bit of a misplay there, maybe thinking that they needed to take the fight early to them so they didn't have to coexist. End up losing the fight and losing the position overall. So definitely a weird way to end that game, that's for sure. But patience, a lot of times in these final circles, seems to be the key word.
Yeah, I'm wondering if, like, Tyson maybe got pressured out of their building by Primal or something, because they were coexisting inside of the ship. It's not like from the last time we checked in with Tyson that they were playing underneath the ship. They were actually on the first floor of the ship. And so having them outside there kind of, I don't know, it was a little bit questionable. But ultimately, at the end of the day, Tyson at least, you know, were able to steal a lot of kills here. That charge rifle got a lot of points for Z Davis and Team Tyson. I think there was about maybe 3 or 4 kills that he was able to steal away with it. So it did actually ultimately pay off for them. But for SRC Primal, despite getting the win, again, they played center zone really early on, so they didn't get that many kill points, maybe 5. So this is going to be a 17-point game for them, as we're just waiting on the replays from that game. But yeah, this was, I think, a very classic circle in terms of like that Thunderwatch lightning rod ending.
That was so...
We're actually going to go ahead and send it on over to Yeso here before we head into final game. So Yeso, go ahead and break down game number 5 for us.
Yeah, it's my turn, Tom. My turn to break it down. SRC with their third or fourth top 3 finish here on the day so far. They've kind of quietly been in the mix all throughout tonight, and they finally grabbed their first win here, clutching up there at the end. They had the high ground up on top of that bubble building, and with the castle wall available, elect to kind of aggressively take ground down low, and they end up winning the fight at the end. Shout out to Call Spades for clutching up there with that final kill. They pick up 5 for themselves in this one, so a nice 17 points here for the squad, and it was a really kind of tight mix up at the top of our leaderboard here going into game number 5, very similar to what we saw going into our final game last Wednesday. So we may have a very exciting kind of nail-biter finish here today, and I certainly hope so, because it's been a very entertaining night so far, and I can't wait for more with one more game ahead of us. Let's take a look at our Mobile One high performance moment. I think it might just be this clutch finish from SRC. Yes, so they jump off of the building because they want to kind of sandwich the other squad as they come off of it, and things go a little awry for a moment because you see 2 going down, but Call Spades able to get the first knock there, drops the tactical to buy himself a little bit of time, and it's just the 1v1 here with Shinny, and able to just beautifully dance around the tactical to avoid the damage, and then gets the final bit with that Volt onto Shinny here. So important to note that DD Truth and Rob do a lot of good work here early in the fight, and then you just have Call Spades on the other edge behind the castle wall with nobody really paying attention to him, just beaming, just getting the necessary knocks, and then able to finish off Shinny there at the end. So a bit of an unconventional fight there from the side of SRC, but they execute on it well, and it gets them the win here in game number 5. I can't wait to see the state of our Mobile One leaderboard here when we come back from this break, because there's going to be a ton at stake going into this final game. A bunch of squads going to be well within reach of first place here tonight. We're going to go to a quick break, though, right now. When we come back, Jamerson and T-Squared, though, will get you ready for our final game of the day.
All right, welcome back to Series E. We've got one last game in store for us here at Open Night. Before we get into that final game, though, let's check in with the Mobile One leaderboard now. It was a very tight grouping of 5 teams before this, but now we honestly feasibly have about 6 or 7 teams playing for first place, but it all comes down to ASG and Slepton. They are currently our leaders. ASG in the lead in first place with 66 points. Slepton, though, keeping pace at 62.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch this final game kind of unfold, and there's a couple of different ways to play this one, right? Hyper aggressive and play how you've been playing the entire night, or a little bit slow and waiting for the lobby to kind of thin itself out so you could see who is getting eliminated in the kill feed and then kind of go from there to see if that's the competition. And it's going to be probably down to these top like 4 teams, right? You look at Team Tyson and you're like, all right, they need a 20-point game. Not only that, they need everybody else not to get any points. So we'll see. Those are the teams like 5th through 7th that have to play ultra hyper aggressive, and the teams 1 through 4 can kind of let the lobby pan out.
Yeah, first SRC Primal are winners from game number 5. I mean, I expect them to play how they have been playing, which has been playing for zone, and we're not seeing as much of that so far here in the Open Night. They seem to be one of the few teams that are actually reliably trying to play for center zone at this point. It's basically edge or nothing at this point for a lot of our squads, and just practicing for that meta. I imagine, though, with the experience that most of our squads have, when it does come down to playing center zone, they can go ahead and shift gears for that at any point.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We saw a great example of that, and I love the point that Yeso brought up from that final moment of the previous game where we saw the wall go down, and Newcastle did a great job. I think his name was Spades. I can't remember his full name, but a great job of just maneuvering around, and it was Call Spades. Call Spades had a great ending to that last game, and they played into their strengths, right? You know, Watson and Newcastle is what you're going to expect on our pro nights, right? So when you see that in the Open Night coming through and being played at a really high level, that's why this team is here. They want to get their end zone knowledge. They want to get their reps towards the tail end of the game, and it was really nice to see those type of plays being made.
Yeah, as we head into the final game of the day, let's go ahead and join on board with SRC. We might not be on board with them for long, because I can already see a huge smattering of teams actually fighting it already off the rip. We're already starting this game off with 18 teams, by the way, and there it is, Key getting one of our first knocks. Epic Gamer 47 has gone down.
There was 46 Epic Gamers before him, so you know, just the way the cookie crumbles. And you know, he has 47 on his. It's just 47 is the number for this squad, and actually 18 is the number for this squad because they go out in 18th place. Someone Sinus giving them the absolute business right there. The good thing is their night's over. They can go play ranked now, and you know, appreciate them participating in Series E. But it's Someone Sinus on fire tonight, so it's definitely not a team you want a 50-50.
And speaking of another 50-50, up here at Checkpoint, Excedrin versus Motive. It went Motive's way in game number 5. Right now, things aren't looking great for Excedrin. It's triple white armors, and neither side really got anything. And it looks like it was just Trev off of damage. No, not even damage alone, getting that blue, actually. So he was the only one that actually got a natty spawn on that one, but looks like Excedrin do at least back away for now. So this might be just another extended 50-50, I believe, in game number 5. It took a little whiles before they wiped them, but here's the send. Motive don't want to waste any time. They got the crack onto 1. That Valkyrie kind of off by their ones, but they do and ultimately get the backup. Crows didn't get the message, though. He full sends and get the knock onto Stomps. Trev tries to do the same thing, but Kodagami will send him packing. It's down to a 2v2, but Excedrin are up here as a duo now, looking to try and get that res. We'll see if they can get it down below the queue just to cancel that one out.
Yeah, you thought you were getting a res in this meta? Well, you've absolutely fooling yourself, as you think you're getting the res, but it's a Horizon queue up in the air. Surprise, surprise. Everyone's flying in out of nowhere. That's his queue, by the way, and it is absolutely free. Motive, they thought that the third parties are going to come for sure. And if you thought that the first 5 games were aggressive and fast-paced, well, game 6 is going to be a treat for you.
Yeah, this is going to be like a Zone 3 ending. Intel definitely trying to make that happen right now. Getting pushed on this bubble. Rambo holds it down. SRC lose out on 2. Intel will knock out our winners from game number 5. We're already down to 14 squads. Ring 1 just began closing about 30 seconds ago, and now we get to actually take a look at end zone that we're never going to see, by the way.
Not one team's in the zone.
Yeah, it's going to be 2 teams, zone number 4 at this
Not
rate.
one team's. Joey Blackout, what are you doing? Get your foot out of the zone, man. You're ruining it. Stomps, get out of the zone, dude. Everyone take a screenshot. Oh, Team Nerf. Yeah, they've already ruined it. All right.
We'll see, though. Nerf can try to full send it. I mean, I expect them to. We have about 4 teams there on the northeast side. Intel are taking their time out over at Lightning Rod as Tyson are trying to full send it onto a team as, yeah, they're just coming in for the third party. So we're about to have about 4 more squads go down here.
Yeah, we should have a game where you're not allowed to sit inside the zone, where the zone is actually where the zone is. It's kind of like Night at the Roxbury with the club outside the club. So we'll see what happens in this game, because this is exactly what you expect in a final game. Players like to go absolutely nutty. Tyson is one of those teams. They have to just put the pace and pedal to the metal, and that's what they're doing. They're going to eliminate Galactic Samurais, and now the Beast of the Hunt is going to be popped from Joey Blackout, and they're going to continue to full send this.
And unfortunately, they still have only the blues, but they don't care at all. The scan's out. It's a full 3 now chasing after them, getting the crack, and this is what I'm talking about. This is the aggression we want to see, but Joey Blackout dropped down to about 2 HP. Z Davis is there, though, covering the angle, and now Act on the right-hand side gets the knock onto Raze, who have the Rolling Thunder coming out of all things here, as it looks like Joey Blackout still needs to hit up that med kit. They're going to secure this thirst in just a moment, but Z Davis now charging forward. That scan didn't really get much for them, but you should still have another one coming up shortly here. But yeah, it's just all aggression for Team Tyson here, who honestly, it seems like a lot of pent-up aggression for them, especially after the first few games.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And ASG, every time you hop on board with them, they have great armor situations. They're always like shoulder, baiting and switching. Zanile's typically been the person that is opening things up, so it's not surprising that he's the one that's going to be healing. But they're inside of a double seer ultimate right now, one of them being their own, so they have to play this very safe.
Yeah, Crook just taking the time to take the rooftop. He does get peeked at a pretty fortunate time for him, because he did have that cover, but you can see they are just playing off the timing here. Zaniles is looking for that opening spot. One. As the Kraken now charges forward. The door is going to need 2 hits, though. The Arcstar is in, and he still holds on. Another Arcstar comes out, though. They're going to wait that one out, and ASG now have the HP advantage, taking rooftop just in case. But bring this angle here. The Seer ultimates are gone, and so they have to just play off of the Seer ADS at this point to try and get any info. But in just a moment, ASG are going to try and pull send it. They find an open door here. It gets bronzy up right in his face, though. Bronzy has to be a little bit careful, but you can see they have backed him up into a corner. Razor has been knocked out. We're down to 12 squads here. It's about to be 11 in just a moment. ASG loses out on Zen. It's going to be busy on the other side of this one, but you can see Bronzy now trying to trade out as they secure that thirst, and now Bronzy goes down. Crook, though, left down to try and 2v1 this one, but things are looking bad. ASG are out.
And Sung's down too. The syringe is a little bit faster than the med kit. I'm pretty sure Sung knows that. But that's it for both of those squads, basically griefing each other. And there's a lot of teams that are going to like to see that. That's at the top of the leaderboard. So we'll see who's going to be able to come up with this one now. Those were 2 very, very powerful teams eliminated fairly early. But one of the things that you were saying when the Seer Ultimates were going, they're like, and now they have to play off of, I was going to hope you say, what, they have to play normal Apex.
No, you still have 100% uptime, unfortunately. You know, Mike and Ike, though, they try to go for a coordinated push there. I like the idea, but they still have the Seer passive to utilize, and it's going to be Excedrin on the other side of this one. Is that extended fight once again just over checkpoint? They haven't even left checkpoint. It's just a matter of time. They've already cleaned up Excedrin, though, and now Mike and Ike, yeah, you got him. You got him. And luckily for them, at least, the zone isn't too far off. It's right there, so they can take their time. It's just so awkward to have a 50-50 take all of Zone 1 closing to basically resolve itself.
And it's going to continue with a third party over here as from Team Slept On as we get a look.
Okay, welcome back to Series E. We had some technical difficulties, but it looks like we do have it mostly cleared up. Team Nerf find themselves in a small engagement here on the northeast side of the zone, as that team actually just skirts on by. They got to be careful, though, because they are rotating into another team. So for Team Nerf, this is just an opportunity for them to come in for the third party. You can see there, Tom, that Messiah is already setting up for it.
Yep, Connie tripped over the power cable again. Just going to call that one out. Nice shots there from Messiah right there onto Z Davis, and the finish. He was just trying to get over the wall, and unfortunately for him, he is now watching his teammates play, but that was some great wingman shots.
Yeah, we'll see if they can maybe try and recover him. They do have the respawn beacon there to use, but Nerf is not going to let that happen whatsoever at this point. And Team Tyson, unfortunately for them, you know, they did end up climbing up, right? After the last 2 games. The first 2 games, they only had 2 points. But in the last 2 games, that's where they got all the last 3 games is where they got all the points for themselves. So this was a bounce back opportunity for them, but now they are just in the sights of both Team Intel and Team Nerf, looking to finish them off.
Yeah, Nerf's been on point today. Turns and Messiah playing different legends throughout all of this too. Messiah's been on that horizon, but Turns was on Wraith, then he switched on over to Valkyrie. We've seen him play a lot of different things there. The Scout only needed 5 shots to lay down that amount of damage, and Messiah, it's like deja vu. You guys can't get over that wall. I thought you learned that.
It's just a matter of time. 1 remaining now, but this entire time, you know, you have to worry about that third party coming up from Team Intel, who are being very patient. So Team Tyson has been eliminated, and now Team Intel are trying to creep up a little bit closer. You can see utilizing that passive here, but Icy needs to get a little bit higher before he can try and go for that one. But it does seem like Team Nerf might have just been able to bounce after they got those kills and got instantly out of there. You even have that back Inker playing position even further back on the building. Now Team Intel kind of have to shift gears. They have to kind of try and play for the gatekeep.
Those wingman shots were so nice coming in through for Messiah as Team Int gets eliminated by Mike and Ike, and a little bit of loot going on over towards Icy. I'm excited to see what Icy's going to be able to do off of Gibby, because, well, Gibby was a very, very high pick rate only a couple months ago. There's been so many different changes come through, and it's a brand new season, and it just doesn't really feel like Gibby's in right now. And there's a reason why he's been so, underutilized and underused, is because there's other legends and there's just a meta that is stronger right now. And I guess you would go and look at what TSM did, and if Reps isn't playing it, then it really doesn't seem like anyone is playing it, because it'd be main forever.
Yeah, I'm so glad we have Reps Unleashed finally, and it's been an absolute treat to see. He went largely kind of forgotten, not forgotten, but he was the silent hero for TSM. But right now, for Mike and Ike, they're not running Gibraltar. They are running full aggression. They do have, of course, Mar swapping on over towards the Ash whenever they go over to Stormpoint. And oh boy, this is why you don't take a zip. This is why you don't take a zip. This is why Pathfinder needs a new ultimate. Please respawn.
Jamerson, I don't think that they're hearing you. We're gonna have to.
I've been screaming into the void for like 2 years now.
I know, right? Just like,
and I will continue to do so.
It just gets drawn out completely. But one of these days, maybe a little bit of justice for Lifeline too, because I miss the good old days of playing some of the older legends. Even Wraith could use a little bit of love too. But this new meta that we have is extremely exciting. It definitely creates a lot of fights and a lot of fast-paced gameplay. And hey, we made it to round 3, Jamerson.
Okay, but will we make it to round 4? We're at 5 squads, 15 players left. As Buff Pathfinder now are going to try and survive this one. They do have that singularity down. Boffy has fallen. Bursty needs to play off this, and I think he might actually be getting a little grieved here, as it looks like Mike and Ike pushing up on this one. Slept On has been eliminated, and oh boy, Kraber not being picked up quite yet. He's considering it. Do it!
Nope,
do
nope,
it! There we
nope,
go. MJ's going to pick it up now. 4 squads remaining, as it looks like Bursty will get finished off. Buff Pathfinder almost gone.
I don't think he was considering like what weapon to get rid of. I think it was kind of like, oh, big 140 right there onto Pup Tart. See you later, Alligator. Now, it was more like MJ was like, do I want to give this to any other teammates? He was like kind of offering it for a second, and then no one grabbed it, and then he took it, and rightfully so. I mean, look at the quick scope coming out from him. He has 6 batteries to his name. Going to be looking for some more blood, but Turns has his quick boots on and gets out of there immediately. Oh, just kidding.
189. That's the knock onto Turns. Mike and Ike will be able to pick that one up. Intel have been biding their time this whole time to try and find a moment to get on top of Team Nerf. And we got 46 seconds. Come on, boys. Let's see if we can do this before zone number 5 in just a moment.
That was such a great shot from MJ, but it was so funny because Turns just ended up in the middle of nowhere hitting a battery, and it was probably because Intel's behind him. But from MJ's screen, it looked so funny because he was so satisfied, like 1,000% sure that he was going over towards the left, and all of a sudden Turns is just batting in the middle of the open, and it was like the easiest shot ever. But either way, exciting, to see the Kraber in action. I know a lot of the pros kind of, it's a little mixed reviews on if the Kraber should be in or not, but it's just such a fun weapon to see when the shots connect.
Yeah, I mean, like ultimately for me, it just comes down to me like Kraber. Kraber shot big,
Kraber good.
Here's Forsey, though, trying his best. Nerf now playing this one out as a duo. Not able to recover the banner. They do have a mobile respawn beacon, but like you said, he's in the middle of nowhere. Take a look at that. They've got 20 seconds, and they don't have the ability to recover him here. So, really unfortunate. And it looks like we will see zone number 5. 20 seconds now for the zone to finish up closing. Team Minto not trying to make any waves here. They're just trying to finish off the night with a win.
The big question is, what was Turns even doing down there? Another 140 there for MJ. Now every time I hear you say ooh ah, I can't. It's like every single time now. I can't, but it's such a fun weapon, and MJ's really good with this. I mean, look at the damage he's outputted already. It's just a matter of, should he swap his armors and then charge one up for the rest of his teammates? I think that's what they're considering right now, because they're trying to capitalize on all of these points. Getting a win for the end of the open night tonight is going to do them wonders for the pro night tomorrow. The collat, let's go.
He was waiting for it. He was waiting for them. He got the collat on them. That's massive. And now he's going to change up the angle, try and deal with Nerf just a little bit. Unfortunately for them, that's another shot. What? Mike and Ike, someone needs to put a stop to him, but MJ is going to go for a second round. He's only got 4 shots remaining here, and you can see there's the full send. They've got that phase breach on top of them, but they got a little bit lost there. Nerf actually sliding down onto Team Intel, and Team Intel are still trying to wait things out, and MJ has not missed a shot yet. Well, maybe he missed one, but still, he is putting in work. Nerf just hightailing it out of there.
My.
There's another one. MJ could have 5 Evo shields at this point with how much damage he's putting out now. He's going to slide in. He's going to have to be a little bit careful, but honestly, he is feeling things right now.
How many Mike and Ikes did this guy eat before the game is what I want to know. MJ is going absolutely nutty right now. But he's like, all right, maybe I should probably get back to my team. All right, that seems a little bit safe. It makes sense. And everyone else is playing for the dub. MJ's playing for the montage.
Everyone's just like, he's got to run out of ammo eventually, right? And they're right, but he still has 1 more shot remaining. And despite only having the 1 shot, there we go. He does have a box at least to swap once he takes this last shot. The big question is, will he be able to open things up? Will he finally hit that big headshot to bring someone to the ground, to find that huge opening that Mike and Ike need? I don't know if Mar was able to hit up a ultimate excel to maybe get another phase breach on top of it, but that last shot from MJ will not connect. Yeah, you hit 10 out of the however many shots.
Bad Kraber player.
Mike and Ike, though. Oh no, Mar is actually getting focused down. The nade's coming in on top of him, but he actually survives.
Nice plays coming in from MJ. That was absolutely insane, but I feel like he shot that one just so he could get it over with, swap weapons. The zone's closing. He doesn't need weapons. All he needs is grenades in hands. Now they're bullying out Team Intel on over towards the side. Zone starts to close in over towards them. Keep in mind, Nerf is the duo on the backhand side trying to stay alive, and MJ is just going in right now.
And they're just watching. They're like, wait, they didn't trade at all. So it's the final 3v2. Mike and Ike, they have the high ground. Messiah, Forsey left to their own devices here, and here's the full send out. MJ sliding right on top of them. Mike and Ike,
nuts.
It took a little bits going for them. They finally open things up, get that win in the late game here. Take game at number 6.
Wizard Coin's struggling to hit a single shot, and MJ just didn't miss for like 5 minutes straight. That That was insane. What an ending. I don't think we've seen anyone on that big of a heater towards the tail end of any game in a really long time. And what's crazy, Jamerson, is MJ and Mike and Ike are on the bottom side of the cumulative leaderboard. We'll see if that could be a turning point for them, but that just goes to show you, tonight was really competitive, and all of Season 5 for Series E has been really competitive. We have some really talented players here.
Again, for this squad, it's just, a diamond in the rough. This is a squad that I think has a lot of potential. We're harkening back to, aim assist, Solifide, their initial rise. They didn't have the competitive experience. They made the swap from PS5 to playing now on PC, and since then they have had such a huge meteoric rise now on G2. So I'm glad that here at Series E we get to do a very similar thing, because that's also where we got to see a lot of the rise coming up from aim assist. They were coming here for Series E week in, week out. They were getting better and better every single week until they became one of the most feared teams in Apex Legends.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Series E is a great opportunity to go and prove yourself, and we saw that today. MJ having his highlights towards the tail end. A lot of different players coming through and stepping up. A lot of our open teams giving the partner teams a run for their money. And these partner teams are going to have to, sadly, eventually fend themselves off from relegation if they can't make it into that top echelon when it's all said and done after this month. But that's going to make the qualifiers that much more exciting.
Yeah, really excited for that one here. Again, it's coming down to the last few weeks. We have 7 more regulation days left in Series E, and so that's all we're just waiting on at this point. Who will be able to make it? Mike and Ike. If they continue to put up the points that they do here on the open nights, there's a huge opportunity for them to actually crack in and avoid that relegation zone. We're going to go ahead and send it on over to Yeso, so that's going to do it for us. Yeso, go ahead and take it away. Announce our winners for the evening.
Thank you, gentlemen. Hats off to both of you. Great cast on the day, and an exciting finish there from Mike and I, grabbing the big dub at the end, and MJ just putting on a clinic, honestly, with the Kraber there in that final circle. But the big question going into this last one was that battle at the top of our leaderboard. Who was going to come out on top? And with ASG going out early, slept on, finishing, I believe, just outside of the top 5, and Nerf getting into second place. Question is, did Nerf do enough to get to first place? We'll find out when we check out our leaderboard here momentarily, but first we take a look at Mike and Ike here. They finished with 13 kills in this game, and MJ leading the way to nobody's surprise there with 2,600 damage. That Kraber doing a ton of work, and MJ was impressive with it here in this final game. Mike and Ike, look, they had a really good showing last Tuesday. Of course, they weren't able to chase down the streaking CLG who eclipsed that triple-digit mark, but Mike and Ike were right on their heels for almost the entire day. They were getting into a lot of top 5s, top 3s last Tuesday, and they finished strong with a win here tonight. Overall, not as impressive of a performance here from Mike and Ike tonight, but still, they close out on a high note, and this will be definitely a good performance for them as they continue to try and claw their way up that overall leaderboard. Let's, though, look at our final Mobile One high performance moment here for tonight's competition, and it's probably going to be MJ. It's going to be Mike and Ike going in for this push onto Intel, and Nerf able to bide their time, but Nerf was likely hoping that Intel could do them a solid here and maybe knock 1 or 2 of the players here on Mike and Ike to open up the opportunity for Nerf to slide in and steal away the win with a third party. But the problem is Mike and Ike come in, they just absolutely clean up Intel to where now they've got high ground, they've got the 3v2 advantage, and Nerf doesn't really have a shot at this point. And MJ now, no Kraber necessary any longer, slides in with the PK, swaps to the R301, and with Force down, it is the 3v1 here up against Messiah. And while, Wizard Coin struggling to hit a few of those shots there with the wingman, regardless, has his teammates backing him up, and they're able to clean up Messiah there to grab the win. But this is just a very well executed fight here from Mike and Ike, because they know the third party is likely on its way, so they know it's important that they come in, clean up that fight, and be very concise in that 3v3. If they're able to do that, it opens up the opportunity to continue to play with that numbers advantage, and they do exactly that. So well played from Mike and Ike. But let's take a look now at our Mobile One leaderboard, see who finished at the top of the table today, and it's a tie. Nerf and Slept On tied at 73 points, and I have gotten confirmation Nerf wins. Nerf takes the tiebreaker there with Slept On, so that's crazy. Slept On having such a good start to that game that despite going out multiple places earlier than Nerf, they still get enough points to force the tie, but Nerf still grab the win. So congratulations to our champions here tonight. Team Nerf, they came out and looked pretty damn good front to back here on this wonderful Tuesday, and we'll look to see if they can keep that rolling into tomorrow when the competition gets that much steeper. Couple of reminders before we head home for the day. Of course, if you want to support any of our partners here at Series E at Esports Arena, you can see them at the bottom of your screen. You can pick up products from any of our friends over at walmart.com/esports arena. If you need something to snack on, Mike and Ike and Tyson have got you covered. You need something for your setup at home, Razer and Intel have got what you need. Excedrin, Razer as well. Everybody in the mix. So make sure to get in and grab all of that good stuff. Can't forget our friends at Vizio as well. So walmart.com/esports arena if you need any of that. And be here the rest of the week. We'll be live tomorrow, 4 o'clock. Have all the fun for you for Pro Night. Don't miss out on that. For myself, the entire live broadcast crew, and everybody here at Esports Arena, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow.